word and Solomon Jones.
Word. You better wake up now.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Wake up with word and Solomon Jones.
Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. It's going to be a crisp fall day today. It's going to be in the 50s, and we are certainly looking forward to that. Our onWURD event is coming up this weekend. It's going to be October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden. And here's another reason to go. In the months since the explosion at Philadelphia Energy Solutions, some residents said they've been struggling with coughing or asthma or noticed neighbors with health complications. A report by the U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Investigation Board released yesterday was further confirmation that officials are not prioritizing the health of the community. That's according to some of the neighbors. And residents have been complaining that officials had not talked to them about their health and should have warned them sooner about toxic chemicals. Environmental racism is real. Environmental pollution in our communities is real. Environmental impacts on our health, those things are real, and that's why you need to come to the Environmental Justice Summit with onWURD. It's going to be on 10/20/19 from 2 to 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden in Southwest Philadelphia. And so you need to come out there, and we need to talk about this report. We need to talk about our health. We need to talk about environmental racism. We need to talk about environmental justice. We got a hot show for you on Wake Up with Word. Political commentator Jay McCalla on the impeachment inquiry, Trump's meltdown, and who really won the Democratic debate. Lawyer Kevin Mincy on the Blackchester County family arrested for loitering in front of their own home. And film critic Tim Gordon on the real-life action hero Harriet Tubman and the buzz around the new film Harriet. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at onWURD. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one, congressional Democratic leaders offered a remarkable readout of a meeting with President Donald Trump on Wednesday, saying that the president called House Speaker Nancy Pelosi a third-rate politician in what they described as a meltdown. So they go to the White House. They want to talk to him about Syria and what is happening there, since he unilaterally, by himself, without talking to anybody, decided he's going to pull out the troops and put hundreds of thousands of people's lives at risk, have Russian soldiers walking around at U.S. bases, and basically give up land and gains that U.S. and Kurdish forces made on the battlefield. I told y'all from the beginning, this dude is working for Putin, because the only ones who benefited from that are the Russians and their allies, Syria. Anyway, they go to have this meeting with him and tell him, look, we need to figure out what you're doing here. And Nancy Pelosi said, well, while I'm here, Mr. President, I need to let you know we just had a House vote, and it was a bipartisan vote, and we denounced your action in pulling those troops out of Syria. And that's when Trump went off. He calling Nancy Pelosi a third-rate politician. He's insulting her personally. And this is the Speaker of the House. And this is an 80-year-old woman, right? And so, you know, this dude has no respect for women, man. I think that's what it really comes down to. No respect for anybody, but especially no respect for women. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show when Jay McCalla comes in. Story number 2, lawyers representing some Delaware County residents are asking Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro to look into a pattern of racial discrimination by Chester Township's police department. The move comes after the release of a second video involving the arrest of a black man for loitering in front of his house and resisting arrest. So Alvin Briggs is in front of his house. This cop comes up, decides he's going to arrest him for loitering in front of his own house, right? That means you're standing around with no good intention, right? And so how do you loiter in front of your own house? How do you loiter in front of the place where you live? Like, how does that happen? But this is what this cop is doing. He arrested the people twice. They got it on video. And after he arrested them the first time for loitering in front of their own house, he comes back and does it again. Just harassing these people, man, for no good reason in front of their own house, and it is reprehensible. We're going to talk with that family's lawyer a little bit later on in the show. Kevin Mincy is going to be joining us in a minute to talk about that. And, of course, story number 3, some sad news this morning. Elijah Cummings, Democratic congressman from Maryland who gained national attention for his principled stance on politically charged issues in the House and his calming effect on anti-police riots in Baltimore and his forceful opposition to Donald Trump. Well, he died early this morning at Gilchrist Hospice Care, a Johns Hopkins affiliate in Baltimore. He was 68 years old. He died from long-standing complications from a long-standing health issue that he was dealing with. But Elijah Cummings dies this morning at the age of 68 years old. And, you know, the guy was a giant. He was a giant. And I want you to listen to something that Elijah Cummings said as the committee chair of the House Oversight Committee. He was talking to the head of Homeland Security about the conditions that they were holding immigrant children in on the border. Let's take a listen.
You're doing a great job, right? Is that what you're saying?
We're doing our level best in a very
What does that mean? What does that mean when a child is sitting in their own feces, can't take a shower? Come on, man. What's that about? None of us would have our children in that position. They are human beings. And I'm trying to figure out, and I get tired of folks saying, oh, they just beating up on the Border Patrol. Oh, they just beating up on Homeland Security. Now, what I'm saying is I want to concentrate on these children. And I want to make sure that they are okay. I will say it, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's not the deed that you do to a child, it's the memory. It's the memory. And so, I told the head of Border Patrol the other day, I said, I want to know what's happening in the meantime. We are the United States of America. We are the greatest country in the world. We are the ones that can go anywhere in the world and save people. Make sure that they have diapers. Make sure that they have toothbrushes. Make sure that they're not laying around defecating in some silver paper. Come on, we're better than that.
That is the voice of Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings, dead at 68, a congressman from Maryland who stood up to the Trump administration at every chance that he had. That was him talking to the head of Homeland Security during a hearing about what was happening on the border with children who did not have toothbrushes, who could not take showers, who were laying in these silver blankets in their own human waste. And Elijah Cummings spoke up about that. He will be missed. He was 68 years old, and Elijah Cummings is now gone. I want to talk about our duty to speak up. You know, we have a duty, man, to speak up when things are wrong. We have a duty to stand up when people are being mistreated. And Elijah Cummings doing that reminds me of Martin Luther King saying to us that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Because if you allow it to happen to them, if you allow it to happen to other people, if you allow it to happen to the least of these, well, it's only a matter of time before they get to you. And so Elijah Cummings was willing to speak up about that. I'm waiting to see what the president is going to say about his death because he has not been kind when people who oppose him die. When John McCain died, he didn't have kind words to say about him. When others died who had opposed him, he didn't have kind words to say about them. And again, even that is something we need to speak up about, because I haven't seen this kind of infantile behavior by anybody in leadership ever in my life. And I've been around for a few decades, right? I've never seen anything like this kind of ignorance coming from people in leadership in my life. After Elijah Cummings lit into the head of Homeland Security on the issue of those children on the border, which was right for him to do, Donald Trump came out and made a racist statement about Baltimore, said it was a rat and rodent infested place where no human being would ever want to live, because Elijah Cummings represents that area. Now, part of the area he represents is very affluent, right? And black people live there. I believe PG County was in Elijah Cummings' district, right? So you have some affluent areas where black people live that Elijah Cummings represented, and you had some poor areas where black people live that Elijah Cummings represented. And what I said then and what I will say now is this: that if in fact you are the president of the United States, if in fact you are the person who's running this entire country, right, and you see any part of this country that you are ultimately responsible for that is rat and rodent infested, then before you call out anybody else, you need to get there yourself and fix it. But this is a guy who's not about responsibility. This is a guy who is about blaming other people, making racist statements, backing up white supremacists, and trying to denounce those who stand up against that kind of foolishness. We have literally a duty to speak up and to speak out. Elijah Cummings did that, and we have the duty to do the same. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about this morning. Do you live in the area around the refinery in South Philly? We are learning now that all kinds of chemicals were spewed out into the air when that refinery fire took place, and we are just now learning about it. Neighbors there have been saying, man, I don't feel right. I'm coughing more than I used to. There's something wrong with my lungs. I don't know what it is, but they told me it was safe. Well, now a report comes out, and that report says that all kinds of chemicals were spewed into the air with that fire. I want to know if you live in that area, and I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. And, of course, the blow-up in the White House yesterday between the president and House and Senate Democrats. Chuck Schumer came there. He is the leader of the Democrats in the Senate. Majority Leader Nancy Pelosi came there. She is the leader of the Democrats in the House. He chose to light into Nancy Pelosi. Again, this is an 80-year-old woman. That's a punk move. Like, what are you doing? That's somebody's grandmother, man. Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't agree with her, even if you think, you know, whatever it is you think, man, this dude does not respect women. And I think that really is the issue. And the shame of it is this. And that's why, again, we have the duty to speak up. when he was running for president, and like 16 women came out and said, this guy sexually assaulted me, this guy sexually harassed me. No, the people who voted for him did not care. Because not only does he not respect women, but I feel like the people who supported him and knew that this was the type of person he was, knew that this is what he did, they didn't respect women either. And guess what? 53% of white women voted for him in spite of his treatment of women. We need to talk about that. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. You know, the fact that he chose Nancy Pelosi out of the crowd of politicians, right, to light into and call her a third-rate politician, she's this, she's that, right? It was a bunch of men in the room. Why you ain't do it to them? Punk. 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. I want to hear from you. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning show. You can also, of course, watch us on Facebook at Forward. That's FORWURD. Let's go to the phone lines now and talk to Prince. Go ahead, Prince.
Hey, good morning. How are you, good brother?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good. I just want to hit you with three things and then get your response to it.
Sure.
Now, I'm going to throw this out because no one had told Obama to go to Chicago when there was mass killings during his presidential election.
No, I think people did.
Right, but nor did he go to Chicago to remedy and rectify or call the National Guards in Chicago. That's his home state. That's his hometown. That's where he grew up. And the most shootings happened during his presidency. I just want to throw that out there for thought. But my second issue is the issue that you talked about that I am so disturbed about is that when that report came out yesterday, this was not a report that they didn't know about. How is it possible that an elbow has been broken for 45 years? So what has been happening during this inspection time? And so I would dare say that your politicians, the Kenyatta,
I'm sorry, what did you say was broken for 45 years?
They said that the elbow pipe that had burst was defected
At the refinery.
At the refinery had gone to the point of the size of a credit card. So that means it wasn't insulating anything that was going through there. And so I would want to do a financial campaign pool and find out if that refinery had funds or donated to the Anthony Williams in that neighborhood or the Kenyatta Johnson in that neighborhood or any other politician.
Let me just stop you for a minute, Prince, because I know you're a Republican, right? And that's fine. I mean, we've talked about that.
Right.
But to try to say that it is the fault of politicians that a private refinery did not have its materials in order, I don't think that's fair. Because it's not Anthony Williams' job to go and inspect that place. It's not Kenyatta Johnson's job to go and inspect that place. If anything, you look at the city, you look at the successive administrations, you look at the mayor, right? And you look at licenses and inspections because it's their job to go and inspect these places. Right now, they come and they inspect your work if you're working on a house or whatever, and they throw the book at you. But the fact that they didn't come and inspect this refinery correctly, I think that's something you have to look at all of these successive administrations and say, okay, what happened with this?
So let me do this right here because respectfully, I'm going to say this. When you are a politician and your constituents are complaining about the alarm system not working adequately and the proper procedure for this thing, if something had happened, which they had promised, it is up to the politician to make sure that he holds feet to the fire of any private entity that's inside a congressional or councilmatic district. So to your point,
so I didn't hear anybody though complaining consistently about this refinery. The only time I heard about this refinery is when it caught on fire.
Well, no, let me tell you something. No, the only time you heard about it is when it caught on fire. But when you look at the reports, the residents of that community was complaining for years about this situation, and they asked a relevant question. If something was to happen to this magnitude, would we be warned first? Would we hear the alarms? Would we who was close to that situation be notified first? And it didn't happen.
And again, so when that happens, you sue the company. Because ultimately, ultimately that's their stuff. Ultimately, it's up to them. I'm not saying that that everything that the city did was right, not by a long shot. But what I'm saying is that ultimately, if that is your private entity and that is your private business, then you are the one who's liable.
So, and I'm gonna hang up and listen to you. So, in order to get close to that company, your representatives have to make the first move in which to support their constituents in order to get to that point of doing a class action and all those other things. And so it's almost like telling us in order to have a recourse with the school system and the asbestos that we go straight into the school system. No, we can't do that unless
The school system is a public entity. It's not the same thing as a private company. Now you're doing apples and oranges. The school district is a public entity, so that's different, right, than a private company like that oil refinery.
I'm not doing apples and oranges. What I'm saying is the politician is responsible for both sides of the track, and all we have to go to is them in order to get the representation. And thank you this morning, and I'll hang up a listen.
All right. Well, here's what I think. I think that certainly our politicians are responsible for making sure that they serve their constituents. And what I've learned, having worked in government, having worked in the media, having worked in many capacities, right, is that some politicians are better at constituent services than others. But you know, the ultimate thing that we have to do, I think, as voters, as constituents, as residents, in any community, is to hold our politicians accountable for representing us. You don't represent the developers that gave you money. You don't represent those who are at the head of the party. Ultimately, you represent us. And so it is on us to make sure that if they do not represent us well, that we look in another direction and start to vote people out. And that means Republicans at the state level or at the federal level. That means Democrats at the local level. That means everybody. It means that if I come to you about a problem and you cannot solve it, then we need to, as a community, begin to make some other choices. Whether they be Republicans or Democrats, I don't care. But it has to be somebody who is going to serve the needs of the people. And again, ultimately, with a private company, you know, they are responsible. They are ultimately responsible for their materials. And now, if you're talking about oversight of a company, well, it's Republicans who are trying to destroy oversight of private entities. And so, you know, those are the folks we need to step to at that. The more oversight you have, you know, the more likely you are to catch these things before they become tragic. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by onbound.org. Getting busy here in the area in 42 northbound. That's a jam ride now. Approaching College Drive to 41. Accident there is off at the shoulder. Once you pass that, you're heavy up through 295. 55 north is Deptford in the 42. 295 both ways in the 42. Getting busy. Southbound 95, your jam Cotman down through Girard. Schuylkill Expressway westbound side. That's a jam ride from Passyunk to South Street. An accident right at the bottom of the South Street on-ramp. Then westbound Boulevard to Gladwin. You're jammed eastbound. That's a busy ride east of 202. All that from an earlier disabled vehicle. Then Montgomery through Spring Garden jamming there. Southbound Bluebird, heavy Norristown through the Schuylkill. Again, Route 1 to Media Swampmore. Northbound State Stretch, Media Swampmore to Route 1 jam. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Now's the time to get your home ready for any season with a Pico Energy Assessment. For just $25, a Pico Energy Advisor will come to your home and recommend ways to make your home more efficient and more comfortable year-round. Schedule your assessment today at pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. That's pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. Plus, you may be eligible for an assessment for free.
The Kimmel Center presents Chick Corea Trilogy with Christian McBride and Brian Blade. The two-time Grammy Award-winning trio of jazz pianist Chick Corea, Philadelphia native Christian McBride on double bass, and drummer Brian Blade formed in 2014 with the landmark triple disc debut, Trilogy. They share the stage for a night of jazz, delivering takes on the Great American Songbook, Korea Originals, and more. Sunday, October 27th at the Kimmel Center. Tickets at kimmelcenter.org.
The Uptown Theater presents the Chairman's Ball on Saturday, October 26th from 7:30 to 10:30 p.m. at the Berean Presbyterian Church, located at 2101 North Broad Street. Masquerade attire, black and white, is optional. Call 215-236-1878.
Listen live at wordradio.com.
Honey, it's our favorite time of year, and I got you something to celebrate.
A McRib! It's just what I wanted.
Happy McRib season, sweetie.
I love you.
I love you too.
Actually, I was talking to my McRib.
Oh, okay, well, I'll leave you two alone.
McRib season is here, but not for long. Get one now for just $3.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
It's the rapping professor. Did you miss me?
Well, I'm coming back to the airwaves, y'all. Every Saturday starting November 2nd, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. The rapping professor
Bringing the truth into context like nobody else.
We're going to turn up, and the turn up is 1 p.m. starting November 2nd. That's right, 1 p.m. November 2nd, the return of the rapping professor. You're turning up with work, y'all.
Oak Street Health and Caregivers America invite you to attend CEFN's inaugural Senior Harvest Ball on Friday, October 25th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hilton Hotel, 4200 City Ave. For ticket information, contact Sherry Hill at 215-858-4957.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on a conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So one thing is the passing of Elijah Cummings. He was a congressman out of Maryland, butted heads with the president after he challenged the Border Patrol and Homeland Security on their treatment of children who had been taken in at the border. And what a mess. What a mess. They had children basically sleeping in these little Mylar blankets, no access to showers, no access to bathrooms, sleeping in their own waste. I mean, just a mess. And Elijah Cummings stepped to him about it, stood up about it, and challenged them by saying these are human beings. And the Trump administration and Donald Trump in particular then went on this racist rant saying that Elijah Cummings represents a rat and rodent infested district where no human being would want to live. My question is this: if it was so rat and rodent infested and you're the president of the United States and you see this as a pressing issue, why aren't you there fixing it? Why are you talking about Elijah Cummings and what Elijah Cummings needs to do? You the president. Divert funds to Baltimore like you diverted them for a wall, right? Steal funds from the military and from Puerto Rico for Baltimore like you did for a wall. No, because you more concerned with setting up barriers to keep brown people out than putting in resources to lift brown people up. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. We have a duty to speak up. And that's one of the things that I will remember and I think commemorate about the memory of Elijah Cummings. We have a duty to speak up. Elijah Cummings took that duty seriously, and he spoke up. And he was attacked by the president of the United States, right, in a racist rant. that called his district rat and rodent and crime infested, a place where no human being would want to live. Well, who are the people who live there? Because they black. Are you saying they're not human beings? Are you saying black people are not human beings? What exactly is it you're saying about this place in this country that you are responsible for as the president? If it's so bad, then take some emergency funding and send it there and fix it. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. You can also, of course, weigh in on Facebook at Forward. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. That's where you can weigh in on what we are talking about this morning. So Elijah Cummings and the duty to speak up when you see wrong. The duty to say something, to do something, to stand up. Because guess what? Here's the other thing, because I know a lot of us are like, look, the immigration thing, that's not my problem. Well, if they can do it to them, what do you think they're going to do to you? Who do you think is next, right? And that's why Martin Luther King said that a threat to that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's why he said that. Because if you let them do it to other people, it's only a matter of time before they get to you. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. You can also, of course, weigh in on Facebook at Forward. That's FORWURD. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. Democrats went up to the White House to meet with Donald Trump yesterday, and Donald Trump lit into Nancy Pelosi, called her a third-rate politician, right? She's this, she's that, she's terrible, right? This verbal attack on Nancy Pelosi. And I'm just wondering, does it have anything to do with, first of all, the fact that they about to impeach you in the House? Right, so I know he's frustrated and angry about that. But you put yourself in that position through your actions. But I think the other thing is this. Nancy Pelosi is a woman, and this is a guy who has no respect for women. And that's why I will be forever just really upset that white women decided that, 53% of white women who voted in 2016 voted for Donald Trump. How do you feel about yourself? Like, you don't have any respect for yourself? Why would you vote for somebody that don't respect you? I don't understand it. But then again, I do, because what they did was they put race before gender. That's what they did. They said, okay, well, I know he don't respect women, but he going to help white people. So I tell you what, I'm going to vote based on race rather than gender. This guy don't respect women. He don't respect you. He don't respect white women. You see what he just did to Nancy Pelosi. He don't respect you. But, it is what it is. It's like black people who support him. To me, I don't understand how you can do that. You know he's a racist. Why would you support a racist? Well, he cut taxes. He cut corporate taxes. You don't own the corporation? Why are you like... Oh, man. But, this is what we do. We'll vote against our own interests. We'll align ourselves with people who are not in our interests. And we'll do it either to go along with the crowd or do it because they support some minor thing that doesn't really even matter in the long run. If I have more money as a black person, but I still can't go where I want to go, do what I want to do, be treated with the respect I deserve, then that money really doesn't matter. If I have, more status in the Republican Party as a black person, doesn't matter if I can't go to certain parts of this country because my status doesn't matter there as long as I'm black. None of that stuff really matters in the long run. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And again, Elijah Cummings has passed away. Elijah Cummings has passed away, and just a great voice for the people. and someone who was willing to stand up against what was wrong. 215-634-8065 is the number. On Facebook, Hariah Deborah Bay says this: on whose shoulders we stand, gone too soon. The stress, the corrupt politics is too much, and it put too much stress on this man. So he had some kind of long-standing health issue. That finally, his body could not take anymore. And Elijah Cummings, of course, passed away 2 o'clock in the morning. And we have a duty to speak up. My question is, what are you speaking up about? What are you standing up about? As we remember someone who stood up, who spoke out, what are you standing up about? I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. So that's one thing. The other thing, as we prepare for the Environmental Justice Summit that's going to take place on October 20th at 2 o'clock, from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Gardens, I can't help thinking about this report that's just came out about the explosion at Philadelphia Energy Solutions. Some residents said they've been struggling with coughing or asthma for months. They've noticed neighbors with health complications since that explosion took place. Well, it turns out that hydrofluoric acid was discharged into the air during that explosion, and 2,000 pounds of it was contained by water spray. More than 3,000 pounds of it was released into the atmosphere. And so that's why people are down there coughing. That's why people's asthma is acting up. And this report, for the first time, revealed that. The other thing we learned is that there was a faulty pipe there that was probably the cause of the fire, and that faulty pipe had been there for some time. So I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. Do you live in that area? Do you live near that refinery? Have you been affected by that acid that was released in the air with that explosion? Give us a call. Let us know. 215-634-8065 is the number. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here at WURD. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
A chilly start and a blustery day. Gusty winds have already hit the 30-mile-an-hour mark and could go as high as 40 miles an hour this afternoon. So that'll blow a few clouds through the area, but I think we'll stay dry. And chilly, too, just 57 degrees in Philadelphia this afternoon. Less wind tonight, clear skies, and chillier. Down to 46 tomorrow morning, then sunshine and 62 degrees on Friday afternoon. Sunshine Saturday, there's a chance we'll see a few showers Sunday. Get the First Alert forecast anytime. Download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Dr. Patient Unity. We have a busy ride in New Jersey, southbound from 70 into 42, slow northbound side. You're jammed from Mount Holly, Willingboro to north of 541 Mount Holly. Accident there now this morning, 42 northbound. That is a jam from Blackwood Clementon to 295. 55 is Deptford into 42. Ben Franklin Bridge now jammed the length into Philadelphia. Southbound 95, that's the jam Cotman down through Girard. Westbound Vine, heavy 95, generally right after the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, you're jammed from Pass-Young through South Street. Saw an accident right at the bottom of the South Street on-ramp. Jammed again the Boulevard, generally after Conshohocken eastbound. That is heavy from Montgomery through Spring Garden. Turnpike and the Bluebird, a busy ride as well. As Surprise Medical Bills, bankrupt Americans, Bob Casey is standing up for patients and doctors, demanding insurance companies pay their fair share and support legislation that removes patients from billing disputes. Tell Bob Casey thank you and to keep fighting. Paid for by Dr. Patient Unity. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875.
Or visit WordRadio.com.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Positive encouragement will be yours at the 10th Annual Mothers and Daughters Conference on Saturday, October 19th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Temple University's Student Faculty Center at 3340 North Broad Street. This free conference will positively educate, empower, and encourage mothers, daughters, and all women to support each other through life's awkward journeys. Continental breakfast and lunch will be served. Register at cegmdd19.eventbrite.com or call Gwen at 267-736-8801.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. We also want you to listen to us at wordradio.com. That's WURDradio.com. Check us out there. And, of course, you can watch us on Facebook at Forward. That's FOR. WURD. And check us out also on your Facebook app on your phone. You can check us out there as well. Of course, one of our own, we remember him today, Reggie Bryant. Today is his birthday. Would have been his birthday. He passed a number of years ago, but we remember him as well. So we want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Got a number of things going on. One, House Democrats along with Senate Democrats went up to the White House yesterday to meet with President Trump to talk about his decision to pull U.S. troops out of Syria. That has caused chaos on a massive scale. You got 100,000 Kurd families running for their lives from Turkey, which is engaged in an attack. And you have NATO denouncing Turkey's actions. Turkey is a NATO ally, right? One of the things that Russia sees as a threat is NATO. NATO is a group of countries that are allied together, and Russia does not like NATO. They see them as a threat. And it's been interesting to me to watch Donald Trump attack NATO. Again and again and again, and talk about the allies, and they're not spending enough on defense, and they owe us money, which is not true. By the way, that's not the way it works. They're supposed to spend a certain amount of their budget on their own defense. They don't give us the money for their defense. So that's, they don't owe us any money. That's a lie, right? But he has attacked NATO over and over again. And one of the things that has happened as a result of Donald Trump pulling these troops out of Syria is that NATO is now turning in on itself, right? And a house divided against itself cannot stand, right? So you have other countries that are members of NATO now denouncing Turkey, which is also a member of NATO, And so you have NATO, which Russia sees as a threat, tearing itself apart from the inside out. And I've said from the very beginning, man, it seemed like Donald Trump worked for Russia. From the campaign trail when he was saying, oh, you know, it would be a great thing to get along with Russia. I'm like, wait a minute, aren't they our enemies? Am I missing something? What are you talking about, right? Then we find out 16 people on his campaign were in contact with Russia. That's not a coincidence. Then we find out they come into Trump Tower to meet with the 3 top people in his campaign. That's not a coincidence. Then he brings the Russians in the White House. He meeting with them. Oh, I don't care if y'all interfere in the election. That's what he's telling them. This dude works for Russia. That's what I think. That's my opinion. I want to know what you think about it because I'm watching his actions just over and over and over again, and everything that he does benefits Russia. Oh, don't worry about it. I tell you what, we're going to forget about these nuclear treaties that we have. Y'all go ahead and build all the missiles y'all want. That benefits Russia. Pulling the troops out of Syria benefits Russia because now you got American bases that are abandoned in Syria. Guess who's walking around in those bases? Russians and Syrians who are backed by Russia. Like, this dude works for Russia. That's what it looks like to me. And I don't know why we don't just say that, because that to me is what it looks like. How you just... Okay, these people fought beside American troops, right? These people are our allies. You just abandon them to an attack by Turkey, knowing that NATO, the organization that Russia hates, is going to denounce that. And so now you have NATO fighting against itself, right? Arguing with each other. And the only people who are helped by that are Russians. This dude works for Russia, man. Y'all mark my word. 215-634-8065. I don't know if y'all saw The Manchurian Candidate, but that was a movie that was about someone who had been put in place by our enemies to run for president so that they could then control our country through him. That's what this feels like to me. This feels like The Manchurian Candidate. Like, I don't know why we are not just talking about that issue more. I mean, there's, you know, it's one thing after another. So I want to hear from you on that. 215-634-8065. And I'm just reminded of that by the way that he is responding to Congress. And Congress, using its power, it's a co-equal branch of government, which means that neither one of them are more powerful than the other. They are supposed to serve as a check on the presidency so that the president can't just do anything that he wants. That's Congress's purpose. And so congressional Democrats come there yesterday to talk to him about Syria and about the policy there and about what's going on there. And he uses it as an opportunity to call Nancy Pelosi a third-rate politician, right? To attack her personally. And again, this is an 80-year-old woman. So he writes a letter to Erdogan, tells him, don't be a tough guy. Well, yeah, you a real tough guy. You attacking an 80-year-old woman. Come on, man. Come on, bruh. Seriously. Seriously. Just as a man, like, what are you doing? So I want to hear from you about that as well. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So the other issue is what is happening in Chester County, and we're going to be talking with lawyer Kevin Mincy about that in a little bit. But here's what happened. A guy named Brandon Alvin was arrested in front of his home on September 21st while his wife and his family members were yelling to the police officer that this guy lives there. Now, Brandon Alvin lives in the same public housing complex where 2 weeks ago, 4 members of the Briggs family were arrested for loitering in front of their home and resisting arrest. And all of it, of course, on video, and all of it taking place in Chester County. And I really need to know what's happening in Chester County because you have the same officer who is coming and harassing these people, Delaware County, harassing these people in Delaware County And why? Why is that happening? Why do you keep coming and harassing these people who live in this housing development? Why are you coming and doing this over and over again to these black people? And so now they have hired lawyers. Kevin Mincy is among them. He's going to be joining us a little bit later on to talk about it. But why does that keep on happening? And again, it is a matter of just asking for equal treatment. Nobody's asking for any special treatment. Nobody wants to be treated any different than anybody else. We don't want no special favors, like none of that. But what we do want is respect. What we do want is dignity. What we do want is for police officers who are working in these various areas to treat us like you treat everybody else. Do you come in front of everybody else's house and tell them they loitering? And you're going to be arrested and just take it. No, you don't go to nobody else's house like that. You only come to our house like that. Why are you coming to black people's homes telling them they're loitering? You know, that's the kind of stuff that they used after the Civil War to lock up black people. Now now imagine this, right? You have been enslaved. You have lived in a place where you have to be at risk of death, right? And so suddenly they tell you one day, okay, you free. You ain't got no place to go. You don't have any job. You don't have any money. You don't have any food. You don't have any means to sustain yourself, but you free. And so naturally, you are not immediately going to have a job. You are not immediately going to have any place to live. You are not immediately going to have any means of taking care of yourself, right? So they put in place vagrancy laws. Laws that said if you homeless, that's a crime, we're going to arrest you. Well, guess who was homeless? Former slaves, right? Oh, I'm sorry, you're loitering, right? You're hanging around a place and you don't have any right to be there. So that's a crime, we're going to arrest you for that. And remember, the 13th Amendment said that slavery is abolished in this country except if you have been duly convicted of a crime, right? And so they used these petty crimes, right? Making homelessness a crime when, of course, you knew that black people were going to be homeless. So we used that to then lock people up and then put them right back into slavery. And so the criminal justice system in this country has always been designed to do that. And so when I hear about loitering, when I hear about black people being arrested for loitering, well, it takes me back to what happened after the Civil War when you had black people arrested for loitering or for vagrancy or for homelessness, right? And put into a jail system that was designed to basically re-enslave them. See, we got to understand our history, man, and understand that these things do not happen in a vacuum, right? Black people being arrested for loitering in front of their own home, that's not something that happens in a vacuum. That has historical relevance. That's something that we've seen over and over and over again, and it's something that's been used to criminalize blackness. And so we're going to be talking with Kevin Mincy a little bit later on about that. I want to know if you've ever been, like, harassed in front of your home, in your neighborhood, in a place where you belonged, a place where you were supposed to be, but you had people coming and harassing you while you were there. I want to know about that because, again, this is not something that has happened in a vacuum. We had a young lady who was sleeping in the common area in her dorm, and one of her dorm mates called the cops. They come and they're asking her for ID and asking her for this and asking her for that. Well, she going to the school and paying tuition just like the white girl who called the cops on her. But she gets harassed for that. And so these things, again, these things are not accidental. These things are not single occurrences. It is really part of a pattern of how our people have been treated in this country and how we have been criminalized for doing just regular, everyday, normal activities. 215-634-8065 is the number. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we are going to continue our conversation right here on WURD. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters,
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Enterprise Exterminators provides customers with the highest quality service. Enterprise will evaluate and eliminate whatever pest problems you may have, specializing in bed bugs, fleas, mice, and termites. Hurry down to 4943 Wayne Avenue or call 215-849-7070. Enterprise services Pennsylvania, Delaware, and New Jersey and is licensed and insured. Free inspection and do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now and ask about their Word discount. 215-849-7070.
What's up, everyone? I know you know the word. No, not the station, but this word, J-O-B, that is. And our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you on their team today. They're currently hiring for production, packaging, and sanitation. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they're hiring right now. Check it out. They're offering fair pay and provide health and dental prescription plans after 90 days of employment. They're also looking to hire part-time and seasonal employees as well. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for more details.
The Moorish Unification Council invites you to support the Memorial Scholarship Fundraiser for Deborah Ansa Wilson Bay on Saturday, October 19th at the Philadelphia Masjid at 4700 Wyalusing Avenue, featuring the Alfie Pollitt Trio. Call 215-476-0280 for more information.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent black media.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now is Kevin Mincy. He is founding partner of Mincy Fitzpatrick Ross LLC. He represents a family that's been harassed in Delaware County, and they are now suing and asking for assistance from the Attorney General. Kevin, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So what happened with this family and apparently with some other families there in Delaware County?
Yeah, it's multiple families now. The number of plaintiffs is growing. The first family was the Briggs family that we represent. They were first encountered by police officer Storrs on October the 1st. He came and arrested 3 family members who were outside of their house with some of their friends playing. I think there was flat boxing with some friends. He arrested those 3 and some other folks on that particular day, October 1st, charged them with loitering, disorderly conduct, etc. The next day, they were bailed out around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They got home maybe around 3, maybe 3 o'clock, and by 3:45, Officer Storrs was back with multiple officers charging them again with loitering, disorderly conduct, failure to disperse. It was a pretty violent arrest. It was caught on video. I'm sure you've probably seen it floating around the internet at this point. And so what we come to find out is that Officer Storrs and the Chester Township police officers have been engaged in this conduct for quite a while. After that first story aired, we got some phone calls and found out that Officer Storrs had arrested another man in front of his home, in front of his family for loitering. That was 10 days before the incident with the Briggs family, and it was also caught on video. So at that point, we decided that it was up to us to stand up for them and make a call for Josh Shapiro to come in and conduct an investigation into the conduct of these officers and really into law enforcement generally in Chester Township, because it feels as though it's arbitrary and discriminatory how they're enforcing some of these laws.
So define loitering. Define the law around loitering as it applies generally and then as it applies specifically in that particular township.
Well, there are a few different loitering statutes, and so Pennsylvania has its own loitering statute, but then Chester County has its own local ordinance. And in Chester Township. Let me stop misspeaking.
Mm-hmm.
In Chester Township, it's required that the areas where there's supposed to be no loitering are supposed to be well marked with signs. And then if an officer observes somebody standing in an area that may be loitering, they're supposed to come and investigate and see if that person has a lawful purpose to be there. If the person has a lawful purpose to be there, then they should be allowed to stay there. If not, then the officer has a right to, according to the law, has a right to either ask them to leave or, I guess, if they fail to leave, then place them under arrest. But in this instance, in both the videos that we've collected and all the folks that we've talked to, Officer Storrs never asked if the people have a lawful purpose. And when people explain that they're at home and that they live there or that they're with their family, these officers don't care. They just take the people into custody. So it seems to be a floating or moving target, and we don't think that's right for the folks of Chester Township.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking with Kevin Mincy. He's a founding partner of the law firm Mincy Fitzpatrick Ross, and he's representing several families in Chester Township, that's in Delaware County, who say they have been harassed and unfairly targeted by police officers there. So is this some kind of housing complex? Is it public housing? Like, what sets this particular place where these people live, what sets it apart?
Well, what sets it apart is that 80% African American.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the instances happened in public housing. The other instance happened maybe a few blocks away, but not public housing. It feels as though it's almost like the black codes or the Jim Crow laws. These laws are targeted to criminalize regular behavior of black people in an effort to find them, ultimately incarcerate them, and drive the bottom line for Chester Township.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was talking before you got on about how these laws really remind me of the black codes. It reminds me of what happened after slavery, these vagrancy and loitering laws designed to kind of criminalize black people. Talk a little bit about the history of these laws and what the Supreme Court has said about them in recent years.
Well, it's not even, you can go as far back as the 1830s with the black codes, but even more recently with what the Department of Justice found in Ferguson, that the police officers there were purposefully targeting black citizens and fining them in an effort to create revenue for the county and for the city. Those, Supreme Court has found on multiple occasions that these types of laws are unconstitutional because they are enforced in a discriminatory manner. Our Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court has found that Chester Township and their loitering laws have been unconstitutional before. That was in 2012. So there's a history there in Chester Township, a history in the country. It's really disturbing that they're trying to run these plays back. They're not even really changing the plays.
Right.
It's the same plays from the old school. They're just bringing them back.
Mm. And so what has the response been from first the Chester Township Police Department and then from the Attorney General's office who you have asked to investigate?
We have not received any response from the Attorney General's office. We haven't made a formal request of Mr. Shapiro to investigate other than make the call yesterday in the press, and we'll say we plan to send a letter to the Attorney General's office asking for that specifically. As far as Chester Township Police, I believe their chief of police said that their officers are acting in accordance with their policies and law. That's actually what we believe. We believe that this is their policy and their custom to target African Americans, and we think that it's motivated by direction of their city or county council. So all of that kind of falls in line with what we believe is a civil rights violation, and it'll lead to a Section 1983 lawsuit along with other state claims in federal court when the time is right.
Who have you named in the lawsuit?
Well, we haven't filed anything yet. So the only officer's name that we know of for sure is Officer Storrs. But we know that each time that Officer Storrs commits these atrocities, multiple police officers respond with him. And none of the police officers step in to stop this from happening. So in our eyes, those officers are liable as well. So we'll continue to conduct our investigation, collect police reports and affidavits, find out the names of those officers, and when it's appropriate, we still have to deal with these criminal charges for our clients, multiple clients. So once we can deal with those, then we can move towards and focus on a civil rights action.
So in terms of the makeup of that Chester County Police Department, give me the racial makeup of that department, if you know.
I don't know the specific racial makeup. I know that in the videos that I've seen, it's been predominantly white officers, mostly male. I've seen one white female in these videos. I've seen one black male, one African-American female. Most of the rest are white males. And I believe it's maybe in between 15 and 20 police officers on that force. Chester Township is not a big area. I want to say it's maybe 6,000 residents. It's a very small township. So I don't expect them to have, 100 officers and, 50 to be black and 50 to be white. But,
right.
It's clear that their diversity is lacking, and even the diverse officers are complicit in the behavior of the non-diverse officers.
All right. Well, we will be watching this carefully, and I want to thank you so much, Kevin Mincy, for joining us this morning on WURD.
Thanks, Solomon. We'll keep you posted. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. That's Kevin Mincy. He's a founding partner of Mincy Fitzpatrick Ross, LLC. And we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So you just heard from Kevin Mincy. He is representing the family. He's representing the family, several families, in fact, who have been harassed by a Chester County police officer, Chester Township police officer, and really by several police officers there with accusations that they were loitering. Well, how do you loiter in front of your own house, right? So we want to hear from you. Have you experienced this type of harassment, and what are your comments on it? 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Let's go to line 3 and talk to Tyrone from Southwest Philly. Good morning, Tyrone.
Good morning. Good morning, Solomon.
How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. I'm 79 years old, and I tell these young kids about. I say, darn, I've never in my life seen a Russian come in the White House. And this morning, it really took me out. When you tell these young kids these things, they laugh and say, "There he old. He don't know what he's talking about." I say, as you said, I think he's working with Russia.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
I always say to myself, he owed Russia money. That's why he was so determined to get that gate up, that wall up, pay them people off. Because if he didn't pay them people, it wouldn't be every Trump in America would be dead. I believe myself. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Tyrone. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. I'm just thinking about what Kevin Mincy just told us about these police officers in Chester County harassing people in front of their own homes, right? Just a strange pattern of behavior, because it's not like they only did it once. They've done this repeatedly, right? Coming to people in front of their own homes and telling them you're loitering, break it up. You're in front of your house. What are you talking about? Like, how is that loitering. What do I have to prove to you in front of my own house? I'm in front of my own house, man. You're interrupting, right? And so certainly a lawsuit is going to be filed in this matter. Again, it's Chester County. It's a Chester Township, a small township within Delaware County that is 80% black. And the officers there, according to Kevin Mincy, look to be mostly white, mostly male. And it reminds me of what happened in Ferguson, where you had this police department that was harassing black people, criminalizing black people, giving them tickets, giving them fines, and using that in order to fund the whole government there. They had a whole little system there that they were using in order to harass these mostly poor black people and criminalizing them, giving them all kinds of tickets, all kinds of fines, so that they could fund the government in Ferguson. And so, again, the same type of thing that we see there, we now see in Chester County with this harassment of black people, these violent arrests of black. How you pepper spraying somebody for standing in front of their house? 215-634-8065. And that is why the issue of policing is so important. It's so important. And that is why we speak up on this issue, not because every police officer is doing this, because they're not. But for those who are, they pose a clear and present danger to our people. They are a threat to our lives. Because if you have somebody who is a racist, who is a police officer, well, they have the law behind them. And all they have to say is, I feared for my life from this person who was unarmed. I feared for my life from this person who was standing in front of their house. I feared for my life for this person who was minding their business, and that's why I shot and killed them. We have to stand up against that. Because, again, that is a threat to our very existence. It's a threat to our very lives because they don't do this to white people. 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Mama D on line 1. Go ahead, Mama D.
Peace and blessings, my dear. I'd like to take this opportunity to quickly thank you for each and everything that you have done and continue to do, not only for us as a people, but for this city and this nation in general, because as you well know, there is great need for clarity in thought, which we presently are not receiving from the one who is supposed to be in the White House and representing this country. But I'd like to say first that it really saddened me to hear of the passing of our brother Elijah Cummings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And our prayer is that he will rest in peace and power, and that his essence will go out into the universe, multiply, and come back and attach to many more, so that his courage and his understanding will be brought forth in this nation. The other thing, in reference to racism, we have been saying for many decades that racism is the representation of the nth degree, the highest degree of insanity. For someone to dislike or hate someone that they don't even know, and those who have never done anything to them, and in so many cases have done so much for them. Just to use one example, all of the inventions and other things that our people have presented to this nation to make use of, that is a very serious mental health issue. And aside from that, I tell you, because there's so many things to say about this individual and what's happening and taking place now. Not only does Donnie T not have respect for women, but he has no respect for human life. And the examples, as you stated so clearly previously, would be the example of the children and the people at the border certainly had no proof that they were guilty. And he would still stand in place because of the putrid venom that his posterior spews out and want to continue to stay in place and say that these people should be done away with. He would have people murdered because he is so ill with his filth. You see, so it's just a shame for someone to be so ignorant, so bigoted. But the truth of the matter is, he's not ignorant. He's just mentally ill and full of hate.
Mama D, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're going to go back to the phone lines, 215-634-8065. Talk to Shaquille from Northeast Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Shaquille.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm blessed. I want to talk about the cops in Chester.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Chester. This is how I feel. They are doing this all over. I don't think they're just doing it in Chester. I think they're doing it here, too, where they've been stopping people. They've been stopping people and on their porch and been locking them up for no reason. I think it's wrong. Like, something has to be done.
Yeah. I hear you, man, and I want to thank you so much. Well, the one thing that's being done now is that they are preparing to file suit. They've gotten lawyers, Kevin Mincy, brother out of Philadelphia, and they are preparing to sue. That's one thing that needs to be done. When the money begins to come out of your pocket, your behavior begins to change. And that's why one of the things we're trying to stand up for here in Philadelphia is that if an officer is sued for something that he does on duty, right, then guess what? Part of that money for that settlement needs to come out of his or her pocket. Let's go back to the phone lines. Harry on line 2. Go ahead, Harry.
Good morning, Solomon. Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
WURD family. Listen to this, Solomon. On October 7th, President Donald Trump promised to pull his troops from Syria. And guess whose birthday is on October 7th?
Whose?
Vladimir Putin.
Get out of here.
Yeah, Dr. Messiah on that. Check that out. I'm telling you, that's so crazy. All right, that's all I wanted to say.
All right, man, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk to Shakumba on line 4. Go ahead, Shakumba.
Oh, hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm okay, hanging in there. I was calling you today because I just recently learned that the city is getting ready to sell a prime piece of property at Broad and Lombard. It's the health center. Okay, they let it go down to where it's not doing anything. And I missed it because the bill, and the bill number is 190712, it says the property is going to be given to the Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development. But I learned that they're getting ready to sell.
What is it? 190712 is the bill number you said? Okay.
And they're getting ready to give this to the so-called Philadelphia Authority for Industrial Development, who in turn, I learned, is going to turn around and sell it to a developer for like $15 million. This is prime real estate property. $15 million, and this developer is going to turn around and make it into a residential development with high-priced, multi-million-dollar condos. Okay, and we're not going to get any money out of this, $15 million for $150 million property, and then he's going to develop condos on it, which none of us would even live in, and he's going to get it for cheap, because once they develop the condos, we're not even going to get any city real estate.
All right, I'll check it out. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break on the other side. We're going to continue to take your calls. Jay McCalla is on his way. When he gets here, we're going to have him on the air. We're going to talk a little politics. But if you want to get in, 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
A chilly start and a blustery day. Gusty winds have already hit the 30-mile-an-hour mark and could go as high as 40 miles an hour this afternoon. So that'll blow a few clouds through the area, but I think we'll stay dry. And chilly, too, just 57 degrees in Philadelphia this afternoon. Less wind tonight, clear skies, and chillier down to 46 tomorrow morning, then sunshine and 62 degrees on Friday afternoon. Sunshine Saturday, there's a chance we'll see a few showers Sunday. Get the First Alert forecast anytime. Download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Doctor-Patient Unity. We have delays out there, busy on 295 southbound, 70 into 42, northbound 47 to 42. Again, further north, you're still busy around 541 Mount Holly. An accident there, moved off the shoulder. 42 northbound, still jammed Coles Road to 295. 55 is Deptford to 42. Ben Franklin Bridge jammed the length into Philadelphia. Southbound 95, that's at a jam from Cottman through Girard. Northbound busy north of the airport through the Girard Point Bridge. Again, Penn's Landing through the Vine Expressway. Westbound Vine 95 out through the Schuylkill. Heavy eastbound delays off the Schuylkill through Broad. Schuylkill itself, both ways, east and westbound. Your jam this morning. Pennsylvania Turnpike westbound Ben Settlement to Fort Washington. A heavy ride there as we move on. The Surprise Medical Bills bankrupt Americans. McDonald Norcross is standing up for patients and doctors, demanding insurance companies pay their fair share in supporting legislation that removes patients from billing disputes. Tell Donald Norcross thank you and to keep fighting. Paid for by Doctor-Patient Unity. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Reality Check. Reality Check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com.
Join the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society's Moonlight Garden Party Feast Thursday, October 17th from 6:30 p.m. until 10 p.m. at the PHS Pop-Up Beer Garden on South Street. Feast is PHS's fabulous fall fundraiser. Proceeds support the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society's community gardening program, tree care, and public beautification projects throughout the greater Philadelphia region. For more information and to purchase tickets, please go to phsonline.org/PHEAST.
Join Word Radio for the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, Sunday, October 20th from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden, 5400 Lindbergh Boulevard. This unique green event will feature lightning talks about the connections between race, income, and the environment, locally, nationally, regionally, and especially in Philadelphia. Featuring John Francis, author of Planet Walker and The Ragged Edge of Silence, Janine Kayembe, founder of Life Do Grow Farm, Zuline Mayfield, environmental activist, Joanne Douglas, program manager of the Watershed Interpretation and Youth River program at Bartram's Garden, and a special talk and musical performance by Ill-Fated Natives. The summit will also feature Wasted, an EcoWord photo exhibit by Zamani Feeling, a livelihood green sector job resource exhibit, and a healing drum circle by Music Over Matter. You must RSVP. Register today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Supported by the Wincoat Foundation. WordRadio.com.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. As we await our next guest, Jay McCallum, we'll take your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking talking about on this morning show. The president had a meltdown yesterday when Democrats came to see him at the White House. Started calling Nancy Pelosi names. Yup, he's real tough, attacks an 80-year-old woman. I want to know what you think about that, because I think that Nancy Pelosi is right. She characterized it as the president having a meltdown, and I think she's right. So I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065 is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Of course, also, Elijah Cummings has died. Elijah Cummings has died, and he was a warrior. He was somebody who spoke up on issues that needed to be talked about, so especially where race and class were concerned. He was a congressman out of Maryland, and the last time he spoke up about the president and what was happening on the border. And given that he spoke up on that, the president, of course, attacked him and said that he represented an area that was rat and rodent infested, a place where nobody would want to live, where no human being would want to live. And so, Donald Trump attacks him based on that. Elijah Cummings has died. I'm waiting to see what he's going to say about Elijah Cummings' death, because normally when people he don't like, when they pass, normally when those people pass, he has nasty things to say about them. I've never seen this kind of behavior before in my life, where you have people who actually say negative things about people when they die. Like, who does that? But apparently your president does. And so we're going to be talking a little bit of politics in a couple of minutes with Jay McCalla, who has a liner there.
He cried, his voice quivered. Nobody repents better than a politician who's been caught. I think basically they're just annoyed that they didn't say it first. I sat down on the train. Next thing I know, I'm standing here in the lobby of the Trump Plaza.
How did I get here?
I don't know. Clearly there was an endorsement that was going to happen that day.
And now, Jay McCalla, only on Wake Up with Word.
And we're joined by Jay McCalla. He held senior positions in both the Rendell and Street administrations, a veteran political consultant. McCalla is a columnist for the Chestnut Hill Local. His work also appears in the Philadelphia Inquirer. He brings deep knowledge to politics and does so from an African-American perspective. Jay, good morning.
Solomon, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm a little frustrated with I-95, but, hey.
It'll be all right.
It'll be all right.
That's right.
It'll be all right.
Just,
but you know what? I'll get up earlier. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll expect disaster, and I'll be fine.
Just arrive alive.
Yeah.
That's all I need you to do.
I was texting from the car on I-95.
Yeah.
I was taking my life into...
And everybody else's.
My frail... Oh, yeah. If they had only known what this fool was doing at 60 miles per hour with one hand.
Oh, wow.
I'm good. I'm dangerous, but I'm good.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you here, Jay.
It's good to be here.
It's funny, man. We did our... when we did our protest on Friday, and I'm glad I'm seeing you this morning, lady came looking for you, Jay.
Really?
Yeah, she was like, "Where's Jay McCalla?"
She have money? Have any money?
She had a nice smile.
Well, that'll get you some money. All right, so we'll take the smile. All right. Well, we're starting somewhere.
She said, "Where's Jay McCalla?" I said, "Okay, they come looking for Jay."
All right, one. Next time there'll be two. All right, we're building something here. This is good. Thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely, I needed to let you know. So let's talk about some stuff that's happened. Let's start local.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Judge Gerald McHugh, U.S. federal judge Gerald McHugh, ruled that a supervised injection site, a safe injection site here in the city of Philadelphia would be legal, since they would be allowing people to use drugs for a I don't know, whatever purpose they say they're allowing them to use them for. I know when I talked to them, they said to me that their purpose was to save lives. Gerald McHugh said their ultimate purpose was to get people off drugs and whatever. He said that it would be legal, right? It wouldn't break federal law. But U.S. Attorney William McSwain has stepped in and said, look, if y'all try to open a safe injection site in Philadelphia or anywhere else, we're going to shut it down. We need the appeals process to play out through the courts. And if you try to open it before that appeals process is over, I'm going to shut it down using any means necessary. Now, given that the mayor and DA supports the site, What, in your view, would be the political ramifications of that kind of federal intervention in this process? Jay, what do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, Solomon, our U.S. attorney is a right-winger who opposes Larry Krasner's efforts to bring justice to people of color, and he brings the dirty baggage of having been appointed by the great racist Donald J. Trump. That's McSwain. McSwain complicates things. Safe injection sites, or opium dens, as I like to call them, are a very bad idea, supported by folks who believe a heroin addict shouldn't have to quit heroin. That's where we are. The Lord knows they're dead wrong, but some folks will assume that if Trump's team hates it, it must be good, and normally they'd be right. However, McSwain only cares about that phrase, that little phrase they like to use when they're talking about keeping us in line. He only cares about law and order, okay? He doesn't care about the souls of drug addicts being lulled into permanent addiction. And let's remember that Trump's team has a bias against Democratic-run cities. So we have another complication there. So McSwain would be quite pleased to step in and commit the dramatic act of reversing Jim Kenney, Rendell, and the other local elites who also don't care about the souls of drug addicts being lulled into permanent addiction. However, McSwain is just selling wolf tickets. He threatens to close the injection site if it opens before the appeal is heard. Kenney isn't the brightest bulb, but he knows enough to wait until the appeals are finished. So McSwain is just looking to make some news. He wanted a headline. He knows Rudy Giuliani and Chris Christie started as U.S. attorneys, and he probably wants to make a little name for himself, too. If Kenney has any brains at all, we'll debate that later, but if he has any brains at all, he won't play into the hands of a federal prosecutor. But Solomon, appeals court judges come from the same murky swamp as our local politicians, so it wouldn't surprise me if Kenney prevails in court. He'll likely beat Trump's appointee, but he will still be leading the city in exactly the wrong direction.
So here's where I am on this. I think even a broken clock can be right twice a day.
Yeah, there you
right. Go. And McSwain is right on this. He's right because it's against federal law. When I look at that law, the thing that really offends me about it is that you have millions of black people who have gone to jail on drug-related crimes.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Running drug houses, using drugs, possessing drugs, had their materials taken from them by the very DA's office that's now being run by Larry Krasner. He's not doing that in the same way that it was done before. That's wonderful. But I think that he and Kenney are dead wrong on this. And the fact that the white liberals, and I just need to say it, who are pushing this, do not care about black people who are raising their hands and saying, wait a minute, what about what was done to us?
Yeah.
The fact that the white liberals, and I agree with them on many things, but on this, y'all being racist. Because what you have done is said that we don't care about what happened to you. I mean, you know, we're sorry. It's bad. It's a shame that happened. It's a shame your people are still in jail. We don't care about that. What we care about is saving these mostly white heroin addicts, because that's what it is, who are now dying in droves due to their use of heroin and other drugs like it. We care more about that than we do about what happened to your people, and is still happening to your people because of the way we treated drugs when it was you. That's the problem I have with all of this, man, is that it is undergirded by racism. And there's nothing worse than liberal racism, because they believe that they're right, because the studies say that, wait, in Toronto, we saved 5 people from overdosing. You know, the way to save somebody from addiction is to help them to get off drugs, period, end of story. Because as long as you're on drugs, you're not really living, you're simply existing. I know, because I have been there. And so I think McSwain is right on this. I think that our white liberal brothers and sisters, I know that they mean well. God bless them. I know that they're not trying to be harmful, but this is a harmful thing not only to the people who are going to be continuing to use drugs, but to the people who continue to serve time, the people whose stuff has been taken away, the people whose families have been destroyed, the neighborhoods that are now in a shambles and open to gentrification by, again, white liberals, right? I just think that we need to have a moment where we say, wait a minute, let's really talk about the reality of all of this and not just talk about we need to give somebody some Narcan so that they can live to shoot heroin again. I just think we need to have a real and serious conversation, taking all of that into account.
I agree. And it begins with love. If you love the addict, you don't want him to be an addict. It's as simple as that.
That's right.
If you do not love the addict, you'll say, come on, here's a couch, here's some mood lighting. You sit down, you bring your drugs, you bring your needle, you shoot up, relax, get high, get cool, lay back, and when you're done, you go. That's accommodating, but that is not love.
No.
You don't want people walking around addicted to heroin, because if they're addicted to heroin, the odds are they are not working. And that means they have to do something, watch your car, watch the back of your house, to get the money to buy the drugs. You don't want people perpetually addicted.
Yeah.
And that's all that these safe injection sites do. They sound sexy, they sound modern, but that's all a safe injection site does. It keeps you hooked. That's all it does.
Yeah, and that is wrong. I mean, I don't care how you slice it. It's wrong. It's wrong to help someone to stay on drugs, because as long as that person is on drugs, oh, we have to save their lives. Okay, well, what about their children?
Yeah.
What about their employer? What about their family? What about their community? Because all of these elements of their lives are hurt by the fact that they are continuing to be on drugs. You can't take care of your kids on drugs. You can't work at your job on drugs. You can't be a contributing member of your community on drugs. Like, none of those things can happen. How do I know? Because I've been there.
Me too.
Right?
Me too.
Right? So you can't, like, no, we need to be helping them to get off drugs. If we want to help our society as a whole, right, then we need to be helping them get off drugs. Are you also going to take care of their kids at the safe injection site?
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Are you also going to send somebody to work at their job at the safe injection site? Are you also going to send somebody to make sure they don't break into a car when they leave? They don't break into a house when they leave? They don't break into a business when they leave? They don't shoot somebody when they leave? They don't shoot up again in the alley and die when they leave? Are you going to do all of that? Because all of those things are going to happen.
Amen.
When somebody is on drugs. So, you know, I don't agree with the Trump administration on most things. But on this, I gotta agree with them, because, first of all, the law says any. It doesn't say any except white people.
Yeah.
It says any, right?
Yep.
It's illegal to open any place for the purpose of selling, using, distributing any controlled substance. That's what it says. And so I'm trying to figure out what kind of knot they got to twist themselves into to figure out that this only applies to crack houses and black people. It don't apply to us. We're white, we're liberal, we have money, so we're right.
Judges do what the heck they want to do based on their own personal biases. I still go back to Bill Cosby, when that judge decided and declared that he was a violent sexual predator. And that was the predicate for putting him in prison. He was not violent. No woman ever said Bill Cosby ever laid a hand on them. And so these judges, they twist themselves into knots to come up with the most disgusting, horrific rulings ever. And here you got one right in our face.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here on WURD. I'm Solomon Jones.
Now, a word weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
A chilly start and a blustery day. Gusty winds have already hit the 30-mile-an-hour mark and could go as high as 40 miles an hour this afternoon. So that'll blow a few clouds through the area, but I think we'll stay dry. And chilly, too, just 57 degrees in Philadelphia this afternoon. Less wind tonight, clear skies, and chillier. Down to 46 tomorrow morning, then sunshine and 62 degrees on Friday afternoon. Sunshine Saturday, there's a chance we'll see a few showers Sunday. Get the First Alert forecast anytime. Download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. Still a busy ride as we move on this morning. Delays continue on 95 southbound. You're jammed up from Cotman Avenue down through Girard. There is a disabled vehicle there. Northbound side busy. Airport to Girard Point Bridge. Again from Penn's Landing through the Vine Expressway westbound Vine. That's heavy 95 through the Schuylkill eastbound. Delays off the Schuylkill through Broad. Schuylkill eastbound 202 to City Avenue busy again. Jam approaching Montgomery through Spring Garden. Westbound past Young to South. Again the Boulevard out through Gulf Mills. Boulevard Route 1 southbound. Delays from 9th Street down through Fox. Northbound Wissahickon through Broad. You're slow. Delays on the Pennsylvania Turnpike westbound. You're heavy from Ben Salem through Fort Washington. Blue Route southbound Mid-County through the Schuylkill. Again, Broome, Media, Swarthmore. Northbound is McDade through Route 1. 55 northbound Deptford in the 42-year jam. 42 north still jam 168 through 295. 295 southbound. That remains a busy ride. Woodcrest Station to 42. Northbound is 47 to 42. Again, north of 42, a bit slow. Ben Franklin Bridge still jammed nearly the length into Philadelphia. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
We filmed 15 Pennsylvania kids who were all waiting to be adopted and asked what having a family and permanent home would mean to them.
I want a family just to accept me for who I am, to be there just to support me whenever I'm needing it.
To be matched with a family would be amazing. I won't be in a system all the time.
Visit adoptpakids.org to watch the video, meet the kids, and learn how you can become a foster or adoptive parent.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
Using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Amari's Restaurant, located at 5037 Baltimore Avenue, is known for serving the best breakfast in town. Open every day at 8 a.m. with generous portions, reasonable prices, and senior discounts. Check them out at amarisrestaurant.com.
Join me, Aisha Shahida Simmons, in Love with Accountability for a forum to disrupt sexual violence against women and children. From No to Love celebrates the 25th anniversary of No, the Rape documentary, and 2019 release of the Love with Accountability anthology. Screening October 31st at the Lightbox Film Center. Conference and book launch November 1st at the Annenberg School for Communication and the African American Museum of Philadelphia. Get your tickets at lovewithaccountability.com.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Now, before we talk about anything else, Jay, we need to talk about the fact that Elijah Cummings has passed away, and so this is what he said when he was talking to the guy who was running Homeland Security about the kids being held in cages on the border. Let's take a listen.
Is it what you're saying?
We're doing our level best in a very
What does that mean? What does that mean when a child is sitting in their own feces, can't take a shower? Come on, man. What's that about? None of us would have our children in that position. They are human beings.
That is Elijah Cummings speaking about the children being held in cages on the border here in the United States, Jay. He passed away, of course, last night at the age of 68, had a long-standing health issue. They didn't say what it was, but Elijah Cummings dead. How will you remember him?
I'll tell you, this man was the son of a sharecropper. We don't have many people in our generations anymore who are the sons of sharecroppers, so he grew up level-headed. He knew which way was up. He went as a son of a sharecropper to law school. He became a judge and went on to run for the United States Congress. I'm going to remember him as the guy who had his teeth sunk deeply into the bahootney of Donald J. Trump. He did. And when Trump's flunkies came to testify before the Congress, and you just played the clip, he was all up in them. And he was on the side of justice. And he showed outrage. That phrase, he was an educated man. He was a lawyer and a judge and a congressman. But when it came down to his moral outrage, as we just heard, all he could say was, "Come on, man," to the head of Homeland Security. It was just visceral with him. It was in his heart. He understood. And that's how I'm going to remember him, as one of the finest people to speak on human dignity, equality, and justice in my lifetime.
Yeah. He will be missed. I want to see what Donald Trump's going to say about him.
Oh, man, that fool.
Yeah. Speaking of Donald Trump, let's talk about his decision to pull American troops from Syria, because it sent hundreds of thousands of Kurds running, left American bases in the hands of Syrians and Russians, and left NATO condemning Turkey for its actions. How do you see the politics of this playing out, Jay?
I'll tell you, our idiot president gets worse and worse with each passing day. Look, Sunday night, without warning or consultation with anybody on earth, that we know of anyway, Trump ordered our troops out of northern Syria. That was just Sunday night. He pulled this little gem out of his enormous lying derriere, okay? Within hours, our bases were overrun with Syrians and Russians, while our allies of just a few hours ago were being slaughtered 6 ways from Sunday. 10,000 hardened ISIS prisoners are now escaping and returning to the battlefield. In one phone call, Trump wiped away much of the progress of the last 5 or 6 years in fighting ISIS. Even worse, if you can imagine it, the Turks now control over 50 nuclear weapons that the United States left behind.
Wow.
I've heard of leaving home without your phone or without your credit card, but leaving without your nuclear bombs? Come on, folks. This is Trump. Look, like everything else with Trump, it'll take many investigations to figure out why he betrayed our allies and our own soldiers who were being shelled by Turkish forces within hours. Our own soldiers were under attack. Every veterans group ought to be up in arms. Every American who holds a barbecue on Memorial Day ought to be outraged we have a president who doesn't value the safety of our own soldiers. I believe one day we're going to find out the Turkish government was somehow lining Trump's pocket. That's just my belief. Got nothing to prove it. Solomon, Trump is covered in blood from head to toe, and I believe he did it for money. Heaven help us. I believe he did it for money.
Wow. This is unbelievable, man, because, again, when I look at this, what I see at the end of it and at the bottom line of it is Russia.
Yeah.
That's what I see as the bottom line. Russia, of course, aligned with Syria's President al-Assad, and also, you know, they want NATO fighting amongst itself, and NATO, of course, Turkey, a member of NATO, other NATO countries condemning Turkey. So now NATO kind of fighting amongst themselves. Well, that's a great thing for Russia. They hate NATO. They see it as a threat. And so if you can break them down, have them fighting amongst themselves, then they're not fighting against you.
It's amazing how these nations think of themselves, always going around creating tumult, selling arms, unleashing attacks. You know, I just wish the United Nations could play a more prominent role in bringing peace. But reading about bloodshed and warfare every single day of our lives is dispiriting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we'll see what happens in Syria, but it does not look good right now. And speaking of Syria, Nancy Pelosi and a group of congressional Democrats met with President Trump yesterday, told him that the House had voted to condemn his actions in Syria. He responded with insults, calling Nancy Pelosi a third-rate politician. Pelosi described his behavior as a meltdown. Are you surprised that Trump did that, Jay?
Man, you know what? In a way, I blow hot and I blow cold on Nancy Pelosi, but I absolutely love that she walked out of the meeting on Donald Trump yesterday. Our prostitute president likes to talk trash through the media, but he called Pelosi a third-rate politician to her face. And let's face it, he would never have talked that way to another man.
That's right.
He's a punk.
Yep.
The question for me is, how much stress can a crazy man take? Okay? That's my question about Trump. Trump has all sorts of investigations into his business practices, and he knows he's a crook. So that's the thing that really gnaws on his insides. Imagine the stress of hearing the police pound on your door, and you know you've got cocaine on the kitchen table, all right? That's Trump's daily life. He's always been one step ahead of the law, but this week was different. House Republicans actually voted to rebuke his cowardice in the face of Turkish troops. Trump now knows it's conceivable that he can lose Republican support. He knows that now because he lost it in the House just yesterday. He knows his presidency is no longer a lead pipe cinch. It's no longer just guaranteed safe. Mitch McConnell says he expects the trial in the Senate of Donald Trump to begin before the new year. This stuff is moving fast. Trump will get crazier as the heat gets hotter.
Yeah.
Soon he'll be dancing like a chicken on a hot plate. Look at it. Get the image in your head. You will see it in a week or two. In the best of times, Trump is stone cold crazy. So the next couple of months should bring some serious thrills and spills. And Solomon, if I'm to be honest, I'm going to enjoy his pain. I'm sorry. Does that make me a bad person?
No.
No. Right.
No, not at all.
Right.
I think that this is crazy to watch, and I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head. He wouldn't have done that to another man.
No.
He wouldn't have done that to another man, but it's okay to do that to an 80-year-old woman. Nancy Pelosi is 80 years old.
Man, she looks good. Well, she's rich, so that's why she looks good.
That money helps.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But she's 80 years old. So that's somebody's grandmother, right? And this is what you're doing to her. You're trying to insult her and belittle her in a room full of her colleagues. An 80-year-old woman. Oh, you're a tough guy.
Yeah. You're beating up on a woman in a room full of all men.
Yep.
I saw the picture yesterday.
Yep.
It's a room full of all men. Yeah, Trump wouldn't have the nerve to say that to another man. He'd say it to the press.
Right.
But he would never say it to a man's face.
No.
He's a coward.
Yeah. That was really ugly. I mean, just a really ugly thing. And you know, but again, I look at white women who voted for him. 53% of white women who voted for Donald Trump. So, I mean, you got what you asked for. This is what you asked for, and this is what you got.
Isn't that funny? But it is. Be careful, as they say, of what you ask for.
That's right.
You just might get it. And they got it.
Yeah, they did. They did. And so what I would say to them as a group, because again, I think that there are so many just smart, talented, moral, right, white women who are out there. I've worked with them on numerous occasions, right, and continue to. Y'all got to decide what it is that's important to you. I mean, you really do. Y'all have to decide as a group, and you know it, that you have to decide what's important to you. Does race trump gender, right? Does race mean more to you than being a woman? You voted for somebody who does not respect you as a human being because you are a woman, and that's the reality. So, are you going to change your mind this time around, or is race still more important to you than your gender? That really is the question for white women. It's a question that they have to ask themselves.
I agree, and so do Christian evangelicals.
That's right.
And I don't even want to call them Christians. These Southerners who are in the South, the Jerry Falwells, the Oral Roberts, and all those folks down there.
Agreed.
Look, racism trumps Christ. Because Christ preaches against everything that Donald Trump does, says, and thinks.
That's right.
But they love him. They're saying that, and many of these new preachers now in the South, these evangelicals are saying to oppose Trump is to oppose God.
That's right.
I read that in the last couple of weeks.
That's right.
So women, they want to be protected. White women want to be protected or enjoy the protection of a white man. So that's Trump. And these evangelicals. Race is a weird, crazy thing.
Yeah, it is.
It makes... It'll stand you on your head.
Yeah.
Turn you against Christ.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Absolutely. And while we talk about groups, gotta talk to the black men.
Yeah.
Who are out there, and it's not that many. It's like I think 13% of black men who voted in 2016 voted for Donald Trump. How do you do it? How do you, as a black man, vote for a racist? How do you do it?
Who tells you he's a racist? He tells you Mexicans are drug dealers, and if you don't like Mexicans, you don't like black folks either. We're pretty much the same color, you know. I don't know where those 13% are, and But I will tell you, I have a cousin who I love dearly, and this is the definition of love. My cousin is a Trump supporter, and we have agreed to not talk about it.
Yeah.
Normally, I would throttle her or choke her, but I love her, and that's the definition of love. Sometimes you
gotta love people in spite of themselves. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so, we have to decide which is more important. Is it our humanity or our pocketbook? Because I'll tell you, because you have black people who are Republicans, and that's fine. I respect that. But if you have a couple more dollars because you got a tax break, but you still can't go where you want because you're black,
right?
Does that really help you? And that's the question we need to begin to ask ourselves. So I'll leave that alone and just go to this. Sticking with news about Democrats. Let's talk about this week's debate, Jay, because this week's debate looks like Elizabeth Warren is now the front runner. She was under attack on the debate stage. A lot of people coming at her. A lot of people talking about Trump as well. Let's listen to a little bit of what happened at that debate.
Sometimes there are issues that are bigger than politics, and I think that's the case with this impeachment inquiry.
In my judgment, Trump is the most corrupt president in the history of this country.
He has committed crimes in plain sight, and he has consistently, since he won, been selling out the American people. He's been selling out working people. He's been selling out our values. He's been selling out national security. And on this issue with Ukraine, he has been selling out our democracy.
Yeah. And so that is what was said at that debate. The first voice you heard was Elizabeth Warren, then Bernie Sanders, then Kamala Harris. But Elizabeth Warren looks like she is emerging as, if not as a front runner in that Democratic race, Jay. What do you see?
I'll tell you, everybody wants to be the front runner, but there's a price. I remember when Biden was 20 points ahead of everybody in the field, and everybody and their mother attacked poor Uncle Joe. Even lame behind candidates like Cory Booker were getting in Biden's face, okay? But while Warren isn't quite leading, she has the big gains in the polls, and the media is paying very close attention. Can she beat Trump? I'd say yes. Americans have been neglected by both political parties for the last 40 or 50 years, and we know it. Corporations run this country, and we know it. Elizabeth Warren wants to tax corporations, rein in Wall Street, provide free health care and free college. Naturally, rich Democratic donors hate her because they're rich. Obama was able to raise more than $1 billion when he ran for office the first time, but he got it from Wall Street and the pharmaceutical firms and the rich. Obama was not an enemy to the rich. The rich fear Bernie, and they fear Warren because they will be taxed more. Both candidates have made it absolutely clear. Warren has already promised to break up Google, Facebook, and the other multi-billion-dollar monopolies. So she's in the face of the rich. This week, I think it was this week, former mayor, New York mayor, and billionaire Mike Bloomberg suggested he may get into the race. And I take this as evidence that the rich and corrupt fear Elizabeth Warren. He's going to get in and try to be a spoiler and stop her. And the effect will probably be the re-election of Trump if Bloomberg gets in. But hey, we'll wait. But getting one single vote is important. But before you get that vote, you better get some money. And Solomon, while I believe Americans would happily vote for Warren, I fear that Wall Street and other rich corporations will give their money to Trump if she or Bernie is the Democratic nominee. Bob Dylan once said that money doesn't talk, it swears. I fear big money will never support Elizabeth Warren.
That is Jay McCalla. Jay McCalla, of course, a veteran political consultant, worked in both the Rendell and Street administrations, brings deep knowledge to politics and does so from an African-American perspective. Jay, we'll see what happens with Elizabeth Warren.
Amen.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. And I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Always an honor.
All right, we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here at WURD.
Don't miss the Electric Magazine Show.
Hosted by Cody Anderson and Vicki Leach. Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Exclusively on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy, Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Tune in every Saturday at 6 p.m. to Recovery Talk 101 with your host, Rick Ford, talking about addiction, treatment, and recovery. Right here on Word Radio.
Exit Zero International Jazz Festival will return to Cape May, New Jersey this November, featuring another great season of award-winning jazz music. Among the many performers include stage headliners Manhattan Transfer meets Acapella Sextet Take 6 on Friday, November 8th, The War and Treaty on Saturday, November 9th, and The Messenger Legacy, Art Blakey Centennial Celebration on Sunday, November 10th. You will experience multiple indoor and outdoor stages and other performers, including David Sanborn, Joan Oates, Gerald Veasley, and many more. Visit ExitZeroJazzFestival.com for lineup and ticket information.
You know your body, and lately something doesn't feel quite right. You get plenty of sleep, but you're always tired. Sometimes the ache in your joints is so bad you can barely make it through the day. You push through. Sound familiar? These could be signs of lupus. It's time to pay attention. We're here to help you take control. Learn how at BeFierceTakeControl.org. Brought to you by the Lupus Foundation of America and CDC.
Word family, this is Sarah Lomax Reese, President and CEO of Word Radio. Join me on Friday, November 1st from 5:30 to 7 p.m. for the next installment of the Walter P. Lomax Jr. MD Speaker Series, Struggle and Progress, a conversation on Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. I'm excited to interview two of the leading scholars on Douglass and Tubman, Dr. C. James Trotman, founding director of the Frederick Douglass Institute, and Dr. Erica Armstrong Dunbar, author of She Came to Slay, The Life and Times of Harriet Tubman. This powerful discussion will be held at the Barnes Foundation as part of their First Friday festivities and will precede the premiere of Ruth Naomi Floyd's Frederick Douglass Jazz Works, a suite of music created to honor the legacy of the famed activist and abolitionist. You do not want to miss this amazing event, which happens to fall on the same day as the release of the new Harriet Tubman movie. Space is limited. For ticket information, go to wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875.
In partnership with the Barnes Foundation, sponsored by Pico and Comcast NBC 10. We are
Progressive and Proud and Interactive.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at onWURD. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com.
This hour is brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God. You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. We're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So one thing we're talking about is the meltdown, the apparent meltdown of President Donald Trump when Democrats showed up at the White House to talk to him about his Syria policy. They had just voted in the House to denounce that policy where Donald Trump pulled out American troops out of Syria. And Donald Trump attacked Elizabeth Warren, an 80-year-old woman, as a third-rate politician, right? And so just a punk move, man, in my view, man. You don't disrespect 80-year-old women. That's somebody's grandmother, man. Just, you know what I mean? Really. And do it in a room full of men. And I guess my question to women in general and to white women in particular, 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. They did it knowing that he was a misogynist, knowing that he didn't respect women, knowing that multiple women had accused him of sexual assault, knowing that this was just somebody who did not respect their humanity, and they voted for him anyway. And that, in my view, is the power of racism. Because what it did was it put race before gender. It said, yeah, I know that there's a white woman who's just like me, who understands my views, who understands my struggles, right? I know that there's a white woman voting, but I'm going to vote for this dude anyway because race comes before gender, right? And so that is a question I think that white women have to ask themselves going forward. Is race still more important to them than gender? It does race trump, if you will, their sex. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Same thing for black folk. You know, are you going to support someone who you know is a racist, right? Because you think you might have $5 more in your check for a tax cut. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Christians, I think, and Jay brought up a good point. White evangelical Christians and black evangelical Christians who support this have to ask themselves, is outlawing, I don't know, abortion or attacking homosexuality, right? Those two issues that white evangelicals seem to be very focused on, are those two things more important than obeying your religious command, right? Christ's command to love one another, to take care of the least of these. Does that trump your religious belief? For white evangelical Christians, does racism trump your religious belief? I mean, you know, these are the questions we have to begin to ask ourselves and ask each other. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Jacob from Olney is on line one. Go ahead, Jacob.
Good morning. Peace be unto you. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I'm stressed, but I'm blessed. Listening to all this stuff, man, it put a little stress on the brother. But, you know, I got a question. Where are the real patriots? You know, not the football team.
Okay.
But the ones that claim they love this flag, democracy, freedom, apple pie, right? The president called Kaepernick, right? That name, you know, the SOB name, because he did what any American citizen has the right to do, to peacefully protest a heck of a matter, right? And he called him out of his name like that. What do we call him? This is what I'm saying. Here's a man yesterday that, as much as going over there in the Middle East, he said, well, you know, them people got a lot of sand to play with, right? This is the way he looks at other people other than, I guess, his white followers, right? Then he wrote that stupid letter to the Turkish president. And you see he threw it right in the trash because a couple of hours later, they invaded just like, you know, he gave them the green light to do. If anybody stands with this man, you know what I'm saying to you, at this point, I think they're crazy, you know, because, again, what do you have to do to show incompetence? To show, I mean, even I look at these guys, Mitch McConnell, what's the other one that turned against him now that said this is the worst thing that he's ever done? Okay, well, what are you going to wait until he puts his finger on a nuclear bomb, and because he don't like somebody attacked? What are they waiting for? That's my question to you, Solomon. What do you think they're waiting for?
I have no idea.
Just to blow up the whole world?
I know.
I can't. You're talking about people say I'm too blessed to be stressed. I know I'm blessed, but I'd be damned if this ain't stressing me, man.
Yeah, it is. It's stressful.
Right. Thanks a lot.
I hear you, Jacob. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines. Talk to George from Sicklerville on line 2. George, good morning.
Well, good morning, Jones. Hey, Jones. I remember when I met you, right?
Yeah.
I met you at the DNC, bro.
Okay. Can you turn your radio down?
Oh, that's my TV. I'm
okay.
watching MSNBC. I apologize. Oh,
okay.
Come on, you hear echo?
Okay, yeah, I do. So go ahead.
We lost Elijah, bro. I don't know. I thought I was going to go yesterday, right? But they got him. It's the problem. Thank you. And I want to tell Baby Lomax, thank you for letting us be free. But, bro, so hurt. When I shook hands with the CIA director that night, bro, felt so honorable to be amongst people that know how to rock like us, man. You know?
All right, George, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio, and we appreciate it. Let's talk to Abdul from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Abdul.
Hey, what's going on, sir? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
All right. Now, when you talk about race, trumping gender and things like that,
yeah,
and why a white woman voted for this man, even though going against, being able to control their own health and bringing and, having equal wages to men.
Yeah.
It's about race, and it's also about them not wanting to get cut out of their inheritance, being left alone with their husbands who run all the corporations and make all the laws and be stuck on the outside. I can't see how it might not be voter tampering in that situation, or even they just dumb, because if you vote, your vote is anonymous. So, I meant they act like if they would have voted, their husbands and everybody would have known who they voted for.
How about that? How about that?
So I don't know what in the world is wrong with them. They supposed to be educated and from the suburbs, but so stupid to the fact, or even just like you said, it's race. So, yeah, that's what I got to say.
All right.
What else I wanted to talk about? All right, then, peace.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. If you want to get in the conversation, it is 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Let's go to Greg from East Falls on line 4. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, how you doing, Solomon?
Good, good.
Oh, yeah. Clearly, to me, it's not even I don't have to wonder about it no more. That move in Syria was something that Putin told Trump to do. And then, you started talking about it. Well, I see that. I believe that. And that holy. And then the brother came in with the birthday thing. Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, that's crazy, ain't it?
Right, but it's very clear to me that move was done. And then for Trump to then talk about putting on sanctions, that's the 52 fake out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just think that for me, I'm watching. The good part about this is I'm watching all of it start to unravel when they start to tell on each other. Because I've always believed that Trump could not do this without so many other people. And I'm talking about the Lindsey Grahams. I'm talking about the Mitch McConnells. When it's all said and done, I believe it's going to come out. All of them took money. All of them are sell this country out. And my prayer, Solomon, my prayer, I can't stop them from being evil because they are what they are.
Right.
What I want to know at this stage of my spiritual and my spiritual growth to my Maker is, what is it that what is it that I can do?
Yeah.
What is it that we should be doing and get busy doing it? Because that's what it's really at. That's what it really, because I believe that there's a way out of this. He's not going to put us in this situation.
Right.
Make us as intelligent as we are. And I believe in God. Whatever people want to call him, I believe in this higher power. I really And I have so many things to testify on that says to me, I don't have a right not to believe. You understand?
I understand. I do.
But
I
just
do.
wanted to throw that in there. But just sit back and watch, y'all. We're seeing this unravel.
Good point. Good point. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD. I just got a text from Lynn Washington, who's listening. He said, look, white women voted for Trump, but don't forget Latinos voted for Trump. 28% of Latinos voted for Donald Trump. And again, you're voting against your own interests. And I understand Christians looking at things like abortion as very serious issues and issues that we have to stand up about. I understand all of that, but is that the only issue? Right. So are you willing to vote are you willing to vote as a black person for somebody who's a racist, especially as a black man, right? Because you are not the one who is or is not having an abortion, right? So are you willing to vote for somebody who is going to harm every area of your life over a single issue? Or are you looking at it holistically? I think sometimes we get fooled about stuff. Right? Because they'll tell you, oh, this is the most important issue. Well, is it really? Or is it my freedom? Is it the ability for me to get in my car and go from point A to point B without being harassed? Is it my ability to stand in front of my own house without being arrested violently for loitering? Is it my ability to go into a store without being followed around? Are those the things that are more important to me? Or is it an issue that really doesn't have anything to do with me? Like, I think sometimes we get fooled into stuff. You know what I mean? Sometimes we get fooled into stuff and fooled into voting against, acting against, moving against our own interests because somebody has convinced us that this single issue that really doesn't have anything to do with you is more important than every other area of your life. I just think we got to be smarter than that. I do. You know, so if you have women who decide that, you know what, race is more important to me than my gender, than my rights as a woman, than being respected as a human being, and you decide you're going to stand up with somebody who is against you in every other area of your life, well, that's on you. If you're Latino and the dude that already told you, we're going to build a wall to keep your people out, we hate you, and you're going to vote for him anyway, well, that's on you. I just think that we have to begin to be smarter than that. And it's not even just in politics, it's in life in general. Why are you standing with people who are against you? Doesn't make sense to me. So I want to hear from you. Maybe y'all can explain to me. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Miss B from Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Miss B.
Hi, I just wanted to make a statement. Maybe they should take a look at the man who just died, Elijah Cummings, and that maybe give them some insight as to what being black is all about. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Imani from Germantown on line 2. Go ahead, Imani.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm good this morning. Thank you, Jesus. I want to just say that I do resent, we all have opinion and we can agree to disagree and agree to agree. So, like lesbians and homosexuals, I've been there, I've been in that life. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. No one is perfect according to the word of God. I'm saying that kind of life, when you use feces as a lubricant, that causes germs. It causes worms with teeth. I have been there. I know what I'm talking about because it causes a disease. I love my homosexuals and lesbian brothers and sisters, okay? But when we go against the word of God, we're going to reap what we sow. And it's not just that issue. It's the traditions of men. When we put our emotions before what God's law, the nature of God has set upon this earth, we're going to reap what we sow. And that's all areas. And we don't submit our will. So, and our children are suffering for it. Instead of doing what God said to do, we're going to do what we're going to do. So, I mean, what you want to say, this is
So what's your bottom line? Because I do have to move on. What's your point?
That's all I got to say.
All right. I want to thank you for making it this morning on WURD. Let's get to our next caller, and it is Greg from Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Greg.
Solomon, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being you.
Thank you.
Number one, I just got 2 points to make really quick. I'm not going to hang with a lot to drag it out. Number one, the day after Trump was elected, I told everybody I knew, I said, the only reason he's in office is because white women failed to stand up and do what they wanted to do. We all understand that when they go home and they're by themselves, another caller said, well, it's anonymous. Anybody knows, no one knows. But trust me, before Election Day, their husbands had a talk with them.
Yeah, they did.
And trust me, when they came home and had dinner, their husbands had a talk with them.
Yep.
And they looked them right in the eye
Yep.
and said, well, who did you vote for?
Yep.
And the chill running down their spine. We understand that. And the second point I'm going to make is that this time around, if Trump wins again, it's because white men fail to stand up. Just think on that.
All right. All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We are going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
The Shamari Show. Fridays 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. on Word Radio.
And streaming live on WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Honey, it's our favorite time of year, and I got you something to celebrate.
A McRib! It's just what I wanted.
Happy McRib season, sweetie.
I love you.
I love you too.
Actually, I was talking to my McRib.
Oh, okay, well, I'll leave you two alone.
McRib season is here, but not for long. Get one now for just $3.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
This is Word Radio. Independent Black Media.
Word family, you are not alone.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and Word Radio wants you to know that those who suffer from this disease,
their families,
and friends
are not alone. Word Radio encourages everyone to fight.
That's why we're launching Fight Forward, an awareness campaign aimed at bringing attention to early detection,
support groups,
prevention,
and treatment of breast cancer.
This month, we're shining a light on those in the fight.
Plus, all month long, when you start or renew your Forward membership, you'll get a very special pink Fight Forward t-shirt.
Keep the conversation going with the hashtag #FightForward.
And share inspirational messages, stories, and words of encouragement.
Make a difference. Together.
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 Together. Let's fight forward.
For more information or to start or renew your Forward membership, call 215-425-7875.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and we're taking your calls this morning at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, talking about a number of things, including the meeting between Donald Trump and a Democratic delegation that went to the White House to meet with him, including Nancy Pelosi, who is the House Speaker of the House, and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, a bunch of other men. And when they told him that the House had just voted to basically denounce his Syria policy, where he pulled out all the American troops and left the Kurds to be slaughtered by the Turks, he laid in on Nancy Pelosi, an 80-year-old woman, starts calling her a third-rate politician and some other things, and she walks out. She leaves. But I guess my question is, dude, why are you attacking an 80-year-old woman? Seriously. Like, does that make you a tough guy, or does it really make you a punk? I mean, I want to know. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. So we're talking about that. Also, talking about the a couple of families that were harassed by Chester Township Police. Chester Township Police. It's in Delaware County. It's an area where about 80% of the people are black. Apparently, most of the officers there are white. Arresting people for loitering in front of their own homes. They are now suing, and they have gotten legal representation. I want to know if anything like that has ever happened to you. Have you ever been harassed by the cops in front of your own house? This is bizarre. And of course, the passing of Elijah Cummings, a Democratic congressman from Maryland, who gained national attention for his principled stands on politically charged issues and for standing up against the presidency of Donald Trump. So he will be missed. I want to know what you think. Give us a call. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in. Let's talk to Tyrone from Eastwick on line 1. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
It was a real pleasure to meet you Friday.
Thank you, brother. It's a pleasure to meet you, too.
Here's what I want to say. I'm not even thinking about Trump. I'm thinking about one of our pillars that we lost in our community, which is Elijah Cummings.
Absolutely.
When we look at Elijah Cummings, he showed us that if the struggle is worth it, then you get into the struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the way he handled the Judiciary Committee, how he handled Trump. As far as Nancy Pelosi, it shows you when Trump's out of control, he's over his head. And Solomon, you would know, you're an educated man. When you go into something and it's over your head, you're in there swimming, but you don't know whether you're going to ever get a life raft.
Yeah.
And that's where he's at. He has now come in with the big boys of politics and the big women of politics. And he's over his head. And Nancy Pelosi is just stroking him and showing the world what a devilish man he is. He would attack her, but he can't attack her on the principles of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing about that. He just attacks personally.
Yeah.
He has no kind of conviction. And this nation, if we don't watch it, it's on its way to total decline in the world because of this man. We got to get our house together.
Yeah, we do.
Not Trump's house. Get our house together.
You're absolutely right.
As you did Friday. We must do these things.
Yeah.
Because if we don't do them, this is going to get worse.
Yep. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I want to thank you, Tyrone, for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We've been talking a lot about different groups and really whether these groups are going to do what their stated purpose is or whether they are going to fall into the trap of racism. Kia Fisher Copeland says on Facebook, the evangelicals have always been racist and sexist. They come from a westernized view of Christianity. Jerry Falwell Sr. led the way for separate so-called Christian schools in Virginia. His silent majority nonsense was code word for the Caucasian Christian power structure, yet people followed him and subscribed to his rhetoric. I think Kia has a point. I think she has a point. I think that we really have to, and part of what is happening now is that the Donald Trump is pulling back the covers and revealing who we are, revealing what's going on in this country, revealing some truths that we really have not been willing to stand up and really face. And so there it is naked for all of us to see. My question is, what are we going to do about it? 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. Let's go to Fred from Chester on line 4. Go ahead, Fred.
How you doing, Simon? Thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Hey, I'm listening to people calling in. I'm listening to you. When you're saying you wanted to hear from, I ain't saying per se, white women, Puerto Ricans. I'm listening to the phone conversation. They ain't calling in. They ain't listening. You know what I'm saying? So even though white women voted for him, after how he treat white women, they ain't calling into the show. They ain't even listening.
I disagree with you. They are listening. I know personally of some white women who are listening to the show and some Latinos who are listening to the show. So they might not call, but they are listening. They are absolutely listening.
Well, I do also want to say that we took a big loss with Elijah Cummings passing.
Yeah.
It will be missed. You know what I mean? And, I mean, and that thing about the police and the Chester Township.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff been going on for years. I mean, every time it go on, we get on the TV, we get on the radios, but it ain't stopping. I believe I say it ain't stopping because man, these people are evil, man. I'm telling you. I mean, I do construction.
Okay.
I'm around these white boys all day long. I talk to them about Trump, and I ask them, so all the stuff you're doing, tell me one thing you think he has done wrong. Just all the mad that's been going on in the country. They say, I don't think he's doing nothing wrong. I said, you don't think I said, honestly, man, you think this guy doing nothing wrong? All the stuff that's going on in the world and the country. They say, man, every last one of them, I don't see him doing nothing wrong. And they're going to vote for him again. But really, only one's voting for him like that is his base. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like 37% of the population were voting for him.
Right.
But I don't think he's gonna make it in the next election.
We'll see. We'll see. I think I hear you. I think it depends on who runs against him. That's what I think. So Joe Biden might be able to beat him. I don't know if Elizabeth Warren can, because again, I think that you got certain segments who've shown they're not going to vote for a woman.
Yeah, you know who won't do that?
Who?
White males won't vote for a white woman. I'm telling you. I talk to the guys I talk to. We willing to look past that and vote for a woman. You know what I mean? And I voted for Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? She didn't make it. That was a white woman, and I'm a black man. But I just think, man, these people, a lot of these dudes are evil, man. They got some wicked ways with them, man. And it ain't changing. Us talking about it on the radio, us trying to stand up and fight and protest and do our stuff. Yeah, that's all good, but you see ain't nothing changing. And let me say this here too, man, while I'm on the air. I know black people African people are spiritual people. We good people. We're good people at heart. But I really believe, man, we need to stop all this forgiveness stuff. That's what we're losing at. We keep forgiving. I don't forgive none of that madness they do to us. You know what I mean? And how I really feel, I can't say it on the air. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there's a time and place for everything under the sun, right? And there is a time to forgive. I don't know if it's always right away. I think that you really have to allow yourself to go through an emotional process to get to the point of forgiveness. And I think that even as you forgive, that you have to move forward with wisdom. That means, yeah, I forgive you, but I'm not going to put myself in a position to allow you to continue to hurt me, right? I'm not going to do that. That would just be a foolish thing to do, right? I forgive you, but I'm certainly going to make sure that I defend myself so that that cannot happen to me again. Because, again, forgiveness is not for the other person. They don't even have to necessarily you don't have to have a whole conversation with them around forgiveness, right? You don't have to publicly tell the world these people just shot up my whole family and 2 minutes later I forgive them. I think that forgiveness is a process. And if we're honest about that process, then it is not something that happens the second after somebody does something to you. That just doesn't make sense. Right? And forgiveness is hard, and that's why you need God to help you forgive people, because it's hard to do that on your own, man. Somebody did something to you. You know what I mean? You just gonna instantly forgive them. I don't believe that that's something that is real, right? When you immediately like, oh, I forgive you. As soon as you did it, I forgive you. You still bleeding. I forgive you. Come on, man. I think that it's a process. And I think that it's a process that requires faith, and it's a process that also requires wisdom. And so we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on in the show as well, because we're going to be talking with Tim Gordon. He is, of course, a film critic, a black film critic, about the upcoming movie Harriet. One of the things that I want to talk to him about is whether or not black folks will respond to that film. And I did see a pre-screening of that film, phenomenal movie, made me think about a lot of what we are going through now. But whether we would respond to that film that's about a real life action hero, like we responded to Black Panther, which was about a fictional action hero. So I want to talk to him about that, and then I want to talk to you about it as well. But we do have some time. We do have some space. So we want to hear from you. You can certainly give us a call now at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And some people are, of course, weighing in on Facebook at onWURD. Raphael Suleiman says this reality shows like Real Housewives series, Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop series are terrible for the image of Black and Latino women. I don't support certain person as a credible scholar because he's involved in one of these shows as a host. So, you know, certainly you can feel that way about our folks. I'm not going to blast our folks, man, here on the air, but I think that certainly you have the right to your opinion. Raphael Suleiman also said this on Facebook: ordinary people voted for Trump based on the fact that he's a great entertainer and communicator. He gives off the persona of being in charge and being the alpha male. Ordinary people like that. The boss with a boss mentality. People want to be led, but led in the right direction. Trump definitely has a boss mentality. So Patricia Ivory says on Facebook, good morning, Solomon Kawesa and Word Family and Friends. When we vote, there are programs that have been created that tells what we voted in the past and is offered in grassroots seminars. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number. Let's go to E from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, E. Go ahead, E.
Good morning, sir.
What's going on?
Yo, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yo, one love.
No doubt.
Love. Yo, listen, well, first of all, I had to say something about that case that happened in Texas. You know what I mean? I have to ask myself, if I was a concerned neighbor, I would have went over there before I would have called the cops. I would have not went and called the cops first. I would have been like, yo, yeah, I mean, because you live right next door to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going over there. I'm going to check things out.
Okay.
I don't need the cops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was 2:30 in the morning by the time he called? Because he had seen it open, I think, since like 10. So he called at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
you going over there at 2:30 in the morning?
Well, yeah, because you my peoples. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna go over there.
No doubt.
Like, yo, what's going on? You know what I mean? I don't need the cops first.
Right.
I'm going to go over there and figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So maybe that, you know what I mean, that in itself, I would have not called the cops. I would have went over there and been like, yo, let me see what's going on first.
Okay.
I mean, just natural.
Yeah, I hear you, E. And I appreciate your call this morning, man, on WURD Radio. Let's go to Sylvia from Kensington on line 2. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say that this is one white woman who didn't vote for Trump, who can't stand his racism, his sexism, his treatment of LGBTQ. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Anyway, and I have most of my friends, white friends, don't like him either. That don't vote for him. I do have friends and family who do support him. I challenge them. It's really difficult because just with family. You don't want to break family relationships, but he is so bad, and he is hurt. I'm so afraid if the Republicans don't soon challenge him, I'm afraid he's going to do something with a war, a nuclear war. So yeah, he's very dangerous, and there's a lot of white people who don't like him.
I know there are, because again, when we talk about white women who voted for him, for instance, it's 53%. That means 47% didn't, and so. You are the person we need to talk to, and you're the person who needs to be carrying that message in the white community. Now, they might not listen, but those who did not vote, those who took for granted that this guy wasn't going to win. I think all of us, white, black, male, female, otherwise, who don't agree with this, we have to make sure that everybody who is standing against it votes, because in this last election they didn't.
Absolutely. Well, I'm doing what I can, and it makes me heartsick about all the white women who voted for him. I don't understand them. I can't imagine what was going on. And I think you're right. It has to be the racism trumps sexism, or caring about their own womanhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Now,
so anyway, just don't want to take up a lot of your time, but I just wanted to let your callers know that there are a lot of us who don't like Trump and are doing everything we can to defeat him.
I hear you, Sylvia, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to talk with Tim Gordon. He's a film critic about the film Harriet, which is going to be coming out next month. I'm curious about how we're going to respond to this film, and we're going to talk with him on the other side. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
If you want to start your morning with mindfulness, motivation, and inspiration, tune in to Daybreak with me, Helana, here on WURD Radio, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. I'm a health and wellness coach with over 15 years experience helping people to transform their lives. On the show, we talk health and wellness 360, from getting your mind right to getting your money right. So let's rise and shine together right here on WURDradio.com, 96.1 FM, 900 on your AM dial on Daybreak every morning.
Attention Word audience, do you know that you can get help with your PICO energy bill? PICO is here to help you with financial help through various assistance programs, including the PICO CAP program, which provides a monthly credit for eligible low-income customers based on the customer's total household gross income and energy usage. If you are experiencing financial hardship, you may qualify for the PICO CAP program.
And PICO Cares is the customer assistance and referral evaluation service designed to assist special needs, low-income customers who have a temporary personal or financial hardship that prevents the payment of your PICO energy bill. If you have a special needs child or adult in your care, your household may qualify for the CARES program.
Call 1-800-774-7040 today to see if you qualify due to an existing situation or a change in circumstances within your household. Call 1-800-774-7040 today for more information on the PICO CAP or PICO Cares program. PICO, powering our communities.
Support independent black media and join the 4WORD movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Our next guest is Tim Gordon. He's publisher of the Film Gordon, WETA's Around Town critic, film capo of WAFCA, and host of The Big Show, Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. Tim, good morning.
What's up, my brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm sitting here getting ready for another huge film festival, but it starts tonight, so another chance to see the film that we're going to talk about right now.
There you go.
Yep.
There you
Let's
go.
do it.
Yeah, Harriet, the film Harriet. I saw a pre-screening of it the other night. Very good film. I thought it had a unique perspective, almost an action hero film to it. And so I'm wondering if that film, which is about a real life action hero, will be met with the same level of excitement as Black Panther, which was about a fictional action hero. What do you think, Tim?
No, man.
Mm-hmm.
The only film that's going to rival Black Panther in excitement is going to be Black Panther 2 when it comes out in 2022, I think it is. But Harriet, I thought about this last night when you and I initially had the conversation about doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm really mixed, man, on what the response is going to be. And I think also, as we talk about this, I'm wearing two hats, right? So I'm wearing the hat of a film professional, a person whose job it is to critique these films. And, you know, I'll have a chance to speak with the cast later, you know, over this weekend and into next week as the film is about to roll out on November the 1st. I'm not really sure. I mean, I don't know, man. The film played in Toronto. I was in Toronto International Film Fest in early September, and there was buzz on the street for Cynthia Erivo that, you know, in a field for Best Actress, I think she is definitely in the conversation. You know, I've talked to colleagues who range from I think she's going to get in to she has a shot to get in. I don't know. I mean, I like her more than the film, and if that becomes kind of the narrative of others in my profession, that may not bode well critically for what the film will do. But will it do box office business? Absolutely. I think it's a story that should have been told a long time ago. I think Cynthia Erivo, along with Casey Lemons, the director, and Gregory Allen Howard, who wrote the screenplay, I think they've done an amazing job of bringing Harriet Tubman's life to the big screen. So,
yeah.
Prospect, Solomon, I don't know. I mean, I'm being real with you. I mean, when Black Panther was about to come out and we were having this conversation, you sort of knew that movie was going to explode and be, maybe we didn't know it was going to be $1 billion views, but people knew going in that movie prospects are really strong. I don't really know about Harriet, man. I've been feeling around. I just don't get a good grasp of what I think this film is going to do.
I think that the thing I think that interested me most about this film was the fact that it talked about slavery and alluded to, you know, the effects of slavery on black people without focusing on the violence of slavery. You know, you didn't see anybody getting whipped. You didn't see, you know what I mean? Like it was a different take on it, and a take that almost was about the empowerment of black people rather than the victimization of black people. That's the thing that I kind of took away from it. Did you feel the same thing, or?
Well, this is almost a separate conversation about what I'm about to bring up, because I remember being online a couple of days ago. And, of course, Black and Blue was in theaters, I think, a week before Harriet. And Tyrese put out some video on Instagram or on Twitter where he talked about it. I guess he wasn't singling out Harriet, but he'd been talking about Harriet, Birth of a Nation, 12 Years a Slave, and films of this ilk. There's a certain segment of people in our community who understand the history, find it too painful to watch,
right?
And tired of us making or telling stories that cover black people during this time period, during the period of the Middle Passage and slavery. I disagree. I think that a film is a film. I think that narrative has been driven over the years, Solomon, by the fact that when we have films about the Holocaust, there are so many other stories in addition to the Holocaust that those mainstream filmmakers make. But largely, when they bankroll a lot of our films, we have to continuously see these sorts of stories. I forgot about Django Unchained as well.
Yeah.
So I think there may be a population or a segment of the audience who, as I said, may not want to relive the experience. As you're saying, it doesn't show African Americans being or black people being whipped, or it's kind of a genteel look at that time period, focusing on Harriet Tubman,
right,
and not focusing on the institution itself. But for people who don't want to see it, what can you tell them? So I don't know. I think it's a really interesting question, and there are a lot of different dynamics and layers when you're talking about films like Harriet or films like Birth of a Nation, which is sort of kind of not necessarily in the same time period, but sort of, within about 25, 30 years of each other.
I think it's going to be interesting how people respond to this because, again, I think that Harriet Tubman was a real-life action hero. I knew before this film came out, Harriet Tubman toted a gun. And you bet not, come up against her. Like, she was a real-life hero, and it'll be interesting, man, to see how our people respond to it. But I think you're right. A lot of us don't want to see slavery in a film. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to see it. We don't find it entertaining. Like none of that. So given that that it's presented in the way it is, with her kind of being this fighter in this film, will our reticence to see like these slave films overtake that and hurt it? It's interesting. It's an interesting question.
And here's the other question: that who are these films being made for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that as people of color, we know who Harriet Tubman is, right?
Right.
So if you're making these films and you're spending, I'm not sure what the budget is, but if you're spending millions of dollars in order to get this story out there, and Focus Features, who's releasing the film on the first, is making a push for award season. Who are you marketing this film to? Are you marketing it to, because I remember going to a screening and there were lots of African-American women, black women that were there. There were a lot of young people that were there. So if it becomes more of an educational tool, I can see that as kind of a marketing angle. Are you marketing it to the mainstream? Are you trying to encourage, our white brothers and sisters? You need to come in here and learn about who Harriet Tubman is. So, I don't know. That's why I said it's very tricky when you're talking about these sorts of films and these narratives of how you promote these films and get the message out to the audience.
Mm-hmm. We're talking with Tim Gordon. He is an African-American film critic about the film Harriet, which is scheduled to be released next month. And you know what else was scheduled to happen, Tim? Harriet Tubman was supposed to be on a $20 bill. And, of course, your president killed that quite quickly when he got in office.
Well, that's just a momentary bump in the road. As soon as we switch administrations, that's going to be back on the table again.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I'm really conflicted about the prospects of this movie. But you got to also remember, Solomon, that during this time of year, during the war season, I tell you all the time on the show, there are two types of films. There are films that are made, the Marvel films, the big budget summer tentpoles. Those are made because they want those movies to be profitable. Mm-hmm. Harriet can not necessarily, it doesn't have to be a runaway hit because they're releasing it hoping for, some hardware. They want award consideration. They want people to be buzzing about this film. And I think Cynthia Erivo has given them a reason to buzz. And she's, as I said at the beginning of this segment, she's going to be in the conversation for award season. But as I told somebody yesterday, I said, as much as I love her performance in this film, and I'm going to say it on this show again, Lupita Nyong'o, for us, if they're going to have a slot and a person of color has got to get in there, we're not going to have more than one. I love you, Cynthia Erivo, but Lupita Nyong'o killed the game in us. I cannot forget that performance that came out earlier this year.
All right.
That's my Tim Gordon endorsement, not to overshadow Solomon Jones's love for Harriet.
Mm-hmm. I hear you, man. Tim, I hear you, and I thank you. And as always, man, keeping it real with Film Gordon. That's Tim Gordon. He's publisher of the Film Gordon, WETA's Around Town critic, film capo of WAFCA, and host of The Big Show, Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. Tim, thanks so much.
Hey, bro, call me when you need me.
Will do. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I think Tim brings up some good points. We'll see what happens with this film, but I'm telling you, man, Harriet Tubman, a real life action hero, brother. And I want you to go see it and let me know what you think. It's coming out next month, and we just need to understand our history, understand what we're fighting for, understand whose shoulders we stand on, and understand that we have to continue the fight for them. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065 is the number. You can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Gary from Germantown on line 2. Go ahead, Gary. I cannot hear Gary. Let's go to Carlos from Nicetown on line 1. Put Gary on hold. Go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, how you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, man. I'm hearing some good stuff about that movie, Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
I heard about her, man, back in the 80s when I was a teenager. Back in the 80s. Anyway, man, what was wrong with John, Elijah Cummings, right? Is that still, ain't he also known as John Lewis? Was the same person? Or was a different person?
No, a man. The person who died was Elijah Cummings, not John Lewis.
Okay. Okay. How old was Elijah Cummings?
Elijah Cummings was 68.
Oh, 68?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Did they say what was wrong with him?
No, they said he had a long-standing health issue, and that is how he died. So they didn't say what that health issue was, but it was a long-standing issue.
Yeah, man. But man, it's time for Donald Trump to go, man. This is crazy.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I want to thank you for your call, Brother O'Kang from Frankfurt. It's on line 3. Go ahead, Brother O'Kang.
Yes, good morning, Solomon. Praise
good morning.
God. Thanks for what you are. Really appreciate it. Sending out my condolences and sympathy to Elijah Cummings, you said passed?
Yes.
Yeah, sending out my condolences, to his family, Yeah. This is something, this number 45, though, he has to go.
Mm-hmm.
He has to go, because he's causing a lot of, unnecessary, turmoil, really, what he's done now, he's pulled the troops out of, Somalia?
Syria. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. I do want to remind you before we leave to join WURD Radio on October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden for an interactive conversation about environmental racism, how it impacts our lives, and what we as a community can do about it. Come check out John Francis, Janine Kayumbe, Zuline Mayfield, Joanne Douglas, Ill-Fated Native's going to be in the house, Music Over Matter as well. It all happens October 20th from 2 to 5 at Bartram's Garden. You can RSVP at WURDradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Brought to you by the Wyncote Foundation in Broken Philly, a project of Resolve Philadelphia. I want to thank everybody who tuned in on today's show. I want to thank everybody for your callers, for your calls, and for everything that you have done to make today's show a success. I want to thank all of our guests, including political commentator Jay McCalla, lawyer Kevin Mincy, and, of course, all of you. And now, for Jordan Booth sitting in for Kawesa Mathis and everybody here at WURD Radio, I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
This hour was brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager. And Tony Staten Eden, Executive Director of Lesset.
The Morris Unification Council invites you to support the Memorial Scholarship Fundraiser for Deborah Ansel Wilson Bay on Saturday, October 19th at the Philadelphia Masjid at 4700 Wyalusing Avenue, featuring the Alfie Pollitt Trio. Call 215-476-0280 for more information.
Join Word Radio for the EcoWord Environmental Justice Summit, Sunday, October 20th from 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. at Bartram's Garden, 5400 Lindbergh Boulevard. This unique green event will feature lightning talks about the connections between race, income, and the environment, locally, nationally, regionally, and especially in Philadelphia. Featuring John Francis, author of Planet Walker and The Ragged Edge of Silence, Janine Kayembe, founder of Life Do Grow Farm, Zuline Mayfield, environmental activist, Joanne Douglas, program manager of the Watershed Interpretation and Youth River program at Bartram's Garden, and a special talk and musical performance by Ill-Fated Natives. The summit will also feature Wasted, an eco-word photo exhibit by Zamani Feeling, a livelihood green sector job resource exhibit, and a healing drum circle by Music Over Matter. You must RSVP. Register today at wordradio.com or call 215-425-7875. Supported by the Wincoat Foundation. Now, with more clarity, this is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com. The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on Word Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station. You're listening to Philadelphia City Council Live, featuring coverage of today's City Council session, interviews with council members and community leaders, and commentary with your host, Vincent Thompson, exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Word Radio's broadcast of this Philadelphia City Council session for Thursday, October 17th, 2019. Council, we're at the tail end of our council sessions for the rest of the year. Council will have a session every Thursday this month, so we'll have another one on October 24th and October 31st. In November, we will have a kind of a split schedule for November. Council will not meet on November the 7th. That's a few days after the November 5th general election. They will also not meet on November 28th. That is Thanksgiving. Council will meet in November on November the 14th and 21st. Then Council will end its session by December the 12th. So we've only got a few more sessions of Philadelphia City Council for 2019. I'm your host, Vincent Thompson, principal at Thompson Media Man Communications here in Philadelphia. Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. We're the only radio stations where you are guaranteed complete coverage of Philadelphia City Council sessions every week. And listening to the City Council on both 96.1 FM and 900 AM on your radio dial. You can also listen online at our website, which is wordradio.com, or you can download the Word app to listen to Word at any time. You can also watch the City Council sessions on Council's website, which is phlcouncil.com, or you can go to the City of Philadelphia's cable channel, channel